Hello, everybody. Let's do it. Let's do it one more time for old time's sake. Yo, 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 and a bottle of rum. I know that was not the best rendition, and I'm sorry. You guys will get the more enthusiastic, crazy, slapstick version on some of the new programming. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit. New programming, MM2K. Damn, I thought you were stepping away. Well, you know, we're going to explain what I'm stepping from, what I'm stepping to, squish, stepping into, yes, splat, and just, you know, some of the changes for the better that are happening to the platform in ways that we feel like we can, you know, best be utilized. You know what I'm saying? So definitely check us out, man. StadiaDosage.com, StadiaDosage streams, and Stadia Dosage Plus on Twitch. Yes, we're on Twitch. We try to simulcast content, streaming content on Twitch, but we actually do have a show right now, a Stadia Dosage show. We haven't gone past 2 episodes, but you know, that's going to change soon. But we got a show that's specific to Twitch. It's called Stadia Toast and Tea, where we just basically just talk about things that are happening in the community from our perspective. And that's going to be coming back to a degree. We're going to talk about, you know, where our goals are with the programming and everything. But just bear with me as I'm tweeting all this stuff out. All right, and then the last thing I need to do. Can y'all hear me okay? Let me know if y'all can hear me okay. Can y'all hear me okay? Let me know if you can hear me okay. All right. It looks like y'all should be able to. Let me go here. And we're gonna go here. Put this out here like so. All right, come on. Come on. And then the last place we need to go, I think we're done here. Cool. Boom. And the last place that we need to go is here on Twitter. Let me do this. I go here on Twitter. And I think I did that wrong. No, there we go. Now I'm doing it right. Grab that thumbnail. Let's put that good old thumbnail. All right, in there. And that's it. That's it, my folks. Well, that's all, my folks. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another SLS featuring MM2K. I am your host, that guy at the end of the title, MM2K of PNTS Network and Stadia Dosage, back again with another open mic forum. This is where normally in the past I would blabber off for about 2 or 3 hours, and then I would squeeze in comments in like the last 15 to 30 minutes. We're getting better at that, and we're definitely going to get better at that more rapidly. Hold on one second, I got to pull this up. Because we're changing the format of, again, a lot of our content, we feel, for the better. We do it despite people being anxious, like MM2K. I've had a lot of conversations with people about this, and they think this is a negative thing or an emotional thing. I've kind of emotionally expressed in an honest. I just wanted to be honest and transparent on a lot of the driver. Or I'll put it like this: I wanted to be transparent and open about how I felt emotionally about what was occurring. But at no point in time did I let my emotions drive the decision. I'm not wired that way. You know, when something happens, my emotions normally kick in the back end. It's like, it's the last step. When something normally happens, I always assess what's going on. And I always assess the most logical remedy. And then we get the plan into action. And then that's it. You know, if we got the remedy, you know, if we thought it over long and hard enough, okay, now it's time to not play around and get the plan in action. That's how I roll. And normally my emotions aren't kicking in. I'm just like, I'm on autopilot, just working and get it done. And it's then until after the fact when we like go, woo, we wipe our hands of it. I might turn to somebody and say, you know what? That was really effing crazy. Then like my emotions, like that was insane. That even happened. That I even had to do that or whatever. You know what I mean? And that comes from me being in an environment, 25 plus years, Fortune 500 world, where it's a dog eat dog world. And in my position, like one of the worst things that you can deal with if you don't have thick skin is trying to be a leader at some capacity at a Fortune 500 company, particularly nowadays, because nowadays it's not about I am the leader and henceforth you shall do as I say. It's not like that anymore. It's like shout out to my homegirl Dark Sakura. I'm gonna be you're gonna be hearing that a lot from me, but I'll explain who that is for those of you that have been living under a rock. But Dark Sakura and I, during our conversation yesterday, she was talking about how she likes to play a lot of Dead by Daylight on Stadia. She was talking about a good friend of hers. And Meg, shout out to Meg. Meg, if that was you during my stream today, and if I missed your comment, I'm so sorry. You know, I get easily distracted, and I suck at games. So if I'm in an intense situation, I inadvertently ignore the chat sometimes. So be patient with me. But she was talking about how her friend Meg was trying to show her how to play Dead by Daylight in a certain aspect. And she said, look, let me be your meat shield. I'll be your meat shield. I'll take the hits and the slices for you. And when you're a leader in a Fortune 500 company now, that's basically what you are. Especially when finances are at a certain level, and particularly if you've been there for a while. Like, I hate to say it, if you've been there as long as I have, they're looking for ways to get rid of you. Like they want it to be a revolving door of people, because, you know, if they can get rid of you in your mid to early 30s at the longest, then you're not going to be in the highest echelon of employment. I mean, of compensation, meaning when they do get rid of you, they're not taking a huge hit on their unemployment insurance that they pay and other compensation that they got to do. That's the new norm now. So if you ever notice, if you looked around and noticed that all the old people are gone all of a sudden, that's why. You know what I mean? That's why. The companies no longer want that firm, stern experience. Once you hit 35, if you're not in charge of the entire operation or at that very top tier in any department, if you're not an assistant or the project manager or something like that, you're gone. Start looking for ways to kick you out. And again, it's all over compensation. So God bless capitalism. That being said, you know, that's part of my experience within that 25 plus years of doing this at that level, is that I don't have time to be emotional. And then plus what also helps is I'm a father of 5 with 5 grandkids. And for a while, with the exception of two of my kids were insane and nuts. They were so crazy. People traveled state lines to confront them. So it was crazy. You know, they're all older now and they got much sense to them. And, you know, things are a lot better now, thank God. But it wasn't always like that. So, me having to go to my wife as the kids were getting into stuff, calm her down and say, yeah, this is some deep stuff, but I ain't got time to sit there and sulk and whine about this. Like, we got to get out of this situation. And trust me, I'm not one to baby people. People know that. I'm a very straight shooter. And sometimes I think consequences are good because they tell you what you shouldn't do. They tell, you know, I think if you don't go through any consequences and someone is trying to shield you through your life, you're not going to understand why you shouldn't do things. The guardrails won't be up. I mean, you won't be able to put the guardrails up yourself if they're automatically put up for you. So yes, letting people fall and lift themselves up to a degree is great to help them know what not to do. But when your life is on the line, or you could potentially be bringing death to our doorstep, yeah, we got to get out of this situation. We got to figure something out. So, I didn't have time to sit there and be there with my wife, us hugging each other and screaming and hollering and crying. Oh my God! We didn't have time for that. So, because I don't react emotionally, I always look at things logically, especially in the most dire situations dealing with work and life. When I hear something, I'm not over there slapping cabinets around my house and doing the Three Stooges, whoop, 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 and slapping Moe and Curly across the eyes and face to neck and reacting and putting out a Twitter post or putting out a silly thumbnail or some meme. That's never has been me. It's always, does this make sense? And what I'm hearing, does it make sense that we crunch numbers or we look at stuff, we invest, we kick the tires? I learned that from my career. I learned that from the industry that we kick my boss always say, did you kick the tires on that before you brought this, presented this to me, MM? Did you check this, that? And so kicking the tires on, then exhibiting, and then reacting after the fact. Like, okay, we've dotted all our I's and crossed all of our T's. Damn, this is what it looks like it is, for sure. All right, God, okay, now comes in the reaction, you know, and then comes in the theatrics and all that other stuff. But that's kind of the reason why I spoke to y'all last week about the hours that I put into this, the research that's done, the desire that people don't compare me to other things that are happening in the community, like me not trying to be a jackass, but I know what's being done there. And I know what our preparation is over here. Like, our preparation over here is kicking the tires, looking deeply and wide about facts, not caveating information to fit a narrative. Like, I don't have a narrative and then I work backwards to make everything fit it. I work in reverse. I look at what's going on and I let the facts channel me to a narrative. And often, more than not, the narrative is XYZ. That's the content that we create. I don't do it in reverse. So that's why I was like adamant. Don't compare what we're doing here to what's being done elsewhere. And if you don't understand why we come up with different results at looking at the same thing, what you need to do is look at whether what we say comes to fruition often, which it does, and what's being said elsewhere that is of opposite discern comes to fruition often. And I would have to say it doesn't. In those situations, I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to criticize someone for the content that they want to make. There is no golden rule that says that someone has to get behind a mic and be Encyclopedia Brown like us and try to keep everything factual. A lot of it is entertainment. Like I was watching something the other day. A lot of these reality shows, you know, a lot of this stuff is fake, right? It's made up for the camera. Like one of my wife's favorite shows is called Mama's Boy or something like that. And there was this one couple that they have on their season after season after season. And you could tell, like, maybe the first season was real, but now, like, they normally have new couples in there and you could tell that their situations are real. But this is the couple that spices it up. This is the couple that goes over the top, that keeps people in the seats. And it's not realistic. So, but there is no cardinal rule. There is no FCC regulation that says that a reality show means that everything that happens is realistic. The reality show is a structure and an aesthetic, but there's no golden rule that says all that stuff has to be real. So I am out of the business of dissecting a content creator's work. We're out of that business. What I will, that's why you don't hear me talk, even the large ones. I don't talk about Yang Ye. I don't talk about Rich from Review Tech. I don't talk about Mean Cast Boy. And they can make whatever Stadia's dead videos that they want until the end of time. That's why I don't talk about them anymore. Because at first, when you thought that they operated solely off of good faith, we were here to show you that they didn't. And I think we all know that now. So we know that there's a possibility that you could be listening to something from somebody and they're not operating off of good faith. So you have to, again, kick the tires. That includes our stuff. Kick the tires for the legitimacy of it. If you're looking at it beyond the entertainment value. Don't do that. And you're expecting to be educated and you get led astray, then that's on you. So that's what we conveyed last week. And we got a lot of, it was one of our more, as far as more recently, is one of our most engaged contributions to the platform. And for the most part, people loved it. They appreciated it. And rarely, I get the people that I rock out with often behind the scenes that will hit me up and say, oh, great show again. I appreciate that, like that, da 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 da. But I got people that normally don't reach out, that reached out and said, I was thinking that, but there was so much noise out there in the community, and I took a break from social media. I took a break from this, but I'm glad you said it. So I don't want it to fall on deaf ears, MM2K. We appreciate what you do, and we get your frustration, but please don't go nowhere. And I'm not going anywhere. We're just better fine-tuning my contribution to the platform to where it makes sense. You know what I mean? So we're going to get into all that. But first, before I get too much into all that, let's shout out the chat, man. I love you guys. So let's shout out the chat. You guys coming every week. And this might be our new time. We might do it an hour later. But here's the goal. For a while now, for those of you that are curious about this time, for a while now, I've had schedules set up. And then people that work with me behind the scenes know I have these crazy spreadsheets, these crazy documents, these schedules that are super duper planned. You know what I mean? And they've been set up like that honestly for months. And for months, I haven't been able to follow them. Today is the first day that I've been able to follow my schedule and not really be behind. So I want to do a stream around 11:30 every day. with opposites of Wednesday. Wednesdays again. I think Wednesdays or Thursday, one of those days, or one of the days that I go help my buddy out with one of the ventures that he has. We talked about that. So we're gonna do streams around 11 o'clock. We're gonna end and then take a break, whether it be a short one or a long one, and come back normally around 2 and do a show or a video. You know what I'm saying? Or in the exception of SSC podcast, we won't come back till 5. So there might be another stream or whatever. You know what I mean? So it really depends. But that is the goal, is like at least Monday and Tuesday, you guys get a stream in the morning around 11:30. We'll have a short, maybe earlier in the day or right before our stream that goes live. You'll get a video later too, in some instances. Wednesday and Thursday might be a little bit different. I'm not sure which days I'll be taking off from creating content, but one of the days I will be. The other day will be dedicated to fine-tuning SSC podcast, making sure that everything is ready there. You're likely not going to get a stream, but you're probably going to get a video or short on the same day that SSC podcast is released. And then Friday, we're back to our regular scheduled program, starting at 11 o'clock. Saturdays are up in the air. Saturdays, I want to dedicate to some type of Division 2 stream, whether it be a raid or something like that, and all that good stuff. So we'll see. And we got additional programming coming that I'm not going to be contributing to. So we're going to see how all that stuff pans itself out. But shout out to everybody. Let everybody know that we're live. If you could, we definitely appreciate it. Let me do this. I'm going to go put this out here, go back. I do want to shout out the chat. Let's do this. Bada boom, bada bing. All right. Hold on 1 second. Let me see something. Let's make sure I don't miss anything important. Hold on 1 second. Geek to sneak. Geek is like, hey bro, where's my package? No, brother, meant to tell you on Friday. All my fault. So here goes something that, I gotta let people know of, and I'm glad. The apology, delay, bear me it out to ship this week. Okay, so I'm glad Geek said something, 'cause I was thinking about this yesterday. Cause I don't know. Dude, you ever work with an institution that doesn't like you? Like there's this new postmaster at the post office that I'm at. She don't like me, and I've never done anything to her. At one time, the PO box that I use, like when you pay online, you can pay only for a year. I'm sorry. When you pay present in person, you can only pay for a year. I don't want to pay for a full year. I wanted to pay for it like a few months or whatever. Extended a few months, and she got upset or whatever. So ever since that interaction, like she's been doing crazy-ish, like canceling my PO box. Then I had lost my key in the move, and she wouldn't give me my keys to, like I paid $75 for these keys. Keys ain't cheap. Would never order my key. It's just a bunch of stuff. So what happened was I paid for my PO box online, and she gave my PO box away early. Like it was like to the wire, because I forgot it. I didn't realize that I wasn't paying attention to. I wasn't on top of my emails. So as I went to go ship out these, there's 2 more premiere bundles. Somebody that won, the 2 people that won our appreciation award. I know this is horrible because these were supposed to be shipped out weeks ago. The 2 people that won our appreciation awards, Geek to Sneak, and I forgot the other person. I got their information. I was supposed to ship them out this Friday. When I went to the post office, they closed my P.O. box. So I spent all day going back and forth with this woman over that. I don't know what her deal is, but hopefully we'll get that together. And Geek just reminded me in chat and said, "Yo, brother, did you you ever send my ish out?" So I did. So the other person, I just wanted to let you know as well, before I forget, I'm so sorry. Yeah, bear with me. Let me straighten this crap out this week, because I'm just gonna go to another P.O. box. There's one I've been with that P.O. box for years. And there's a closer one to my house. So I want to get everything transferred and set up there. It's just that there's complications because I set up everything online and I can't change everything online. The U.S. postal system is screwbally, but that's my bad. They're sitting in boxes right downstairs. I took them down to be shipped. And when that happened, I ain't gonna lie. I got a little stanky. I got a little stanky at that post office. Not enough for me to get arrested, but enough for me to get my point across. It was, and then I just walked out. It's like, I'm not doing business here. You guys suck. But then it hit me like, okay, I did that, and I'm supposed to ship these things out. But they knowing her, she probably would have told the clerks, no, don't service him. And I don't know what it is. You ever come across somebody you've never done anything to? You must look like an ex-boyfriend or something like that. I have a friend who, somebody in his family, they would always just treat him, in his wife's family, they would always treat him nasty. And he's like, I never knew this. And what it was is, he looked like a good friend of hers boyfriend who treated her bad. And she knew it wasn't him, but the fact that he looked like her, she didn't like it. So she just treated it. It finally came out. You know what I mean? So you get weird people that do weird stuff. And I don't know what I've done to this lady, but she don't like me. All right. Anyway, with that said, thank you everybody for coming through. Let me see. I've been meaning to, did I retweet that? Yes, I did. All right. And we got everything out. So let's do it like this. Let's shout out everybody in the chat. As always, we got Cloud Validation in the house. Shout out to you. Cowboy says, okay, the Cowboys in the building, so hide your wife, women, and children. Oh, man, okay. Jesus Christ, that sounds like some predatorial stuff. But okay, Cowboy, whatever, whatever you do. Morning, folks, says Seahawk in 602. Good to see you, my good friend. Jeremy Moan, I ain't seen you in a minute, says howdy. Says you sound perfect. Thank you. Talk like a pirate day. MM2K. I actually support the idea of cloud games joining forces and question Ubisoft about Ubisoft Plus. If you guys are paying for it, then why aren't you all getting the same game? Hey, Aminar must have had some whiskey and some Patron mix. This ain't who hacked. You know what I think? I think this is the GTA 6 hacker done hacked Aminar's account. Who is this trying to pretend to be my friend Aminar? I support you. MM2K. I want to be on the record. I support you and Stadia and you guys. Officially getting the best out of your account experience. Get the hey yo, Aminar. Somebody hacked your account. GTA 6 person, get the hell out of my friend's account. Who is this person? Shout out to Aminar. Oh man, we're gonna talk about it, Aminar. You killing me today, brother. He says, I'll give you my wife, Cowboy. I don't want her anymore. Holy crap. Yeah, someone done hacked into Aminar's account. And you can also take my kids so I can have more time for gaming. I want to say I can dig it, but sometimes my wife listens into the show from work. And she has a mean right hook, so I'll keep that to myself. Aminar, if I can get rid of mine, I would, so yeah. Oh, I ain't got no problem getting rid of my kids. They can't stand me. They love my wife. They can't stand, except for my youngest child. That's the only one that likes me. It's my youngest son. I ain't got no problem keeping my kids away. Ain't nobody got time for that. So I actually think Cowboy says that Ubisoft not bringing AC Mirage to Stadia is only news now. I don't even think it's a good topic to discuss anymore. Let me do this, Cowboy. That's a great point. I'm going to highlight that comment because we're going to circle back to it, because that's going to be an integral part of our discussion today as well. Motive. Bulls for life. What's up, brother? How you been? How you feeling? Good to see you. MJ Parks. I'm seeing some faces I ain't seen in a while. Good to see you, my good friend. He says, yeah, not beating Mirage like a dead horse. Yeah, we'll see. Yo, MM, I just started laughing out loud at work when you said that sounds like some predatorial stuff. You know I'm a sick puppy, Cowboy. Come on, man. You know that. You know that, Aminor. Who done stole my good friend Aminor's account? Give it back. The GTA 6 hacker. We're going to stop you. We're going to stop you. All right. Look, we got a decent amount of people watching. Everyone else is just going to have to catch this on VOD. That's all. So here's what we're going to talk about today. I want to talk about the outrage in the community. I think it's starting to die down, but I always like to take these moments when the dust starts to settle for us to reflect. You know what I mean? And quite honestly, as far as these reflections are concerned and me going into deep thought and my deep opinion, I'm going to do less of that, where I'm going to do more of, I'm going to spotlight you guys and what you think about all this after the dust settles. Good to hear. Good to hear, Bulls for life. That's what I'm talking about. Prayers is up, my brother. Prayers is definitely up. So what I want to talk about, y'all, is I want to talk about the outrage that has happened in the community. New Wired P games, they continue to come. That's some great news. 1440p is available. Shout out to And Now Your Mama Knows for the super chat, man. I appreciate it, good brother. We're going, as soon as it pops up, I'm putting it up there. I don't know why there's such a delay, but yeah, we're going to talk about the latest news, and then we're going to tackle this whole Ubisoft thing, and then there's some news at TGS as well. So let me make sure I got that in my notes. Resident Evil. There's some slight news. Resident Evil, TGS, and then Ubisoft. Okay, I just want to make sure because I didn't have them in my notes originally. So we got a slew of things. Here we go. And Now Your Mama Knows says, here is $5 to get MM to start the show. Shut your ass down. Shout out to my homie Cowboy for letting me know I'm taking too long to start the show. All right. So let's tackle the outrage first. We had a great show that I recorded last night with a good friend. Now, it was a pleasure me talking to her. I feel honored. Her name is Dark Sakura. Let me do this. I should have had this already set up, but let me go and put this up here for you guys. Jesus Christ, it is hot in here. Like, it was just like cold. Okay, come on. I gotta see. I'm delaying, Cowboy, just because you told me to speed it up. I'm delaying. Cool. Jesus Christ, it's just cold as whatever in here. All right, let me see if I can find the tweet. Here they go. Here it goes. Okay. You know how we do. Let me show you something. There we go. So shout out to our good friends over at Orange Lounge Radio. And I say my deepest gratitude to the fine folks over at OLR for the plug for StadiaDosage last night. What am I talking about? I'll explain. You guys have a rich, long-lasting lineage we aspire to. Special shout out to our homegirl, Dark Sakura, for doing double duty with us, then OLR yesterday. Tell your voice I said sorry. So what am I going on about? What am I brown nosing OLR about? Well, OLR, as they say right here, is the longest running video game podcast out there. It's a weekly show about video games on the internet. It's live at Sunday, 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern, and they're part of the VOG network, and you can check them out over there on twitch.tv. And VOG is very similar to PNT. Well, let me not stain them with my bull crap. PNTS network is based off of VOG. When I was listening to these guys years ago, I said, I want to do that. And that's how, well, no. Let me be honest. PNTS network is the brainchild of me and my brother for when we were roommates. And I called it Pencil Neck 30 something. We both did. That's what PNTS stands for, Pencil Neck 30 something. We were in our early 30s, playing video games, enjoying the OG Xbox and stuff. And, we were digging in MySpace and doing things. We also had this brainchild called Mind Benders. That was our business that we were going to get into that was gaming related. So we did a lot of things there. And so PNTS was just supposed to be the website that housed anything that we did. So that's what PNTS network stands for, Pencil Neck 30 something, anything geek related. So we've always wanted to cover geek stuff, do commentary, all that other stuff. Back when Twitch was Justin TV, we had explored partnering with Justin TV. So you guys aren't old enough to remember that. Before it was Twitch, it used to be called Justin TV. This is when YouTube and Twitch and all that stuff was growing. MySpace was big. And we had considered sitting around and doing something like what VOG is doing. Fast forward, my brother ended up moving down south. I ended up moving again, moving into town. So all those video game dreams, as far as me and my brother working together, went wayside. But I continued. I did other things and kept the PNTS moniker. You know what I mean? And to this day, that's where it came from. It was a brainchild of me and my brother. That being said, it was a few years after we came up with that where I thought PNTS was just going to be a website for gaming news, that we come across the VOG network, and the VOG network was doing everything that we wanted to do. Because then me and my brother said to myself, we contemplated, because we could do it, remotely. We podcast all over the world. You know what I mean? Right? That's the beauty of podcasting and the internet. You got to be in the same space in order to do it. So we had contemplated still doing it remotely, but even though the idea was in its infancy and it took a lot more in order to make it happen, and it wasn't as reliable as it is now, we had contemplated doing it. And then we said, well, it's not going to work. It's just too much involved. It's not going to work. And then, so my brother let it go, did start doing his thing. And I continue to still be deep into gaming news. We've always been serious gamers. My brother was just wanting to know what came out. That's it. He didn't care about who was making what decisions or whatever. All he cared about is what games are coming out. Me trying to look at data and, decipher and pick apart the decisions that are being made. That was stuff that I was doing, right? And I discovered OLR and I said, holy cow, these guys are doing what we wanted to do as far as their show. And then I found the bigger network, VOG. And I was like, damn it, damn it. These guys are doing everything that we wanted to do as a network. And I fell in love and was attached to everything that they've done since that day. Bobby Blackwolf. These are legends in the game. And no, I mean, are they as big as Gamertag Radio? No. But these guys are legends in the game, and they're everywhere. So you may sit there and see the 475 followers. That's just the people that are following them on Twitch when they do their shows. They have a website where the shows are embedded there. Like, people listen to them a multitude of ways all over the world, right? So they're just fantastic on so many levels, and I'm following them on my main MM2K account, but I'm logged into the StadiaDosage Plus account, so we're giving them a follow there too. And the reason why a lot of people don't, the majority of their following isn't here, is because on Twitch, the model that they run is, look, if you're a subscriber, you get untethered access to our content. If you're not a subscriber, then we'll give you little pieces here and there. We'll give you samples, so you can decide if you want to be a subscriber. And I totally get it, and I understand that, because the thing is that if you go to the Vlog Network website, you can listen to everything there without being a subscriber. But here's the thing. When you go to the Vlog Network and listen to via the website, everything that comes in comes to them. They're not sharing ad revenue where they're getting pennies on the dollar from Twitch. So it makes perfect sense why they're doing what they're doing. And we've always wanted to do something similar, so they've been an inspiration to us. So with all that said, and trying to introduce to you what they are and what they mean to me and how I've been introduced to them, I'll say this. The gaming lineage that I got, that I've picked up on now, was based upon listening to these guys in this network who are very knowledgeable, who understand lineage, who understand gaming pretty much since day one of it being a popular platform for people to indulge in. All that started here. Why? Because I knew about gaming. I did a lot of research, and there were a lot of interesting facts that I knew. But see, these people know people. They've been to E3. They go to all the PAX events. They've done interviews with all the devs and sat there with the Penny Arcade people. So even the stuff that we see some of the content creators in this community do, like, every now and again, shout out to Stadium Connect North. I may sit down with them and we're talking to this developer and that. They've done that 1,000 times over with people 1,000 times bigger. Like one of this, and I'm not going to spoil the whole podcast for you. You're going to want to listen to it tomorrow. But one of Dark Sakura, the person that I interviewed yesterday, that again, that's airing tomorrow on this channel. The owner of Working Designs, or the head of Working Designs, CEO of Working Designs, again, the publishing company for all of the, classic, or not all of them, but a majority of the JRPGs out there, the classics, Working Design, we remember them, the Arc the Lads and all the, all those JRPG, you know what I mean, that have been, what do you call that? Regionalized or whatever over here for the States. Working Design was responsible for a huge chunk of that. So everybody should know who Working Design is if you've played a JRPG. But the CEO of Working Design sold them some pinball machine. She's a retro game collector as well, her and her husband. Sold her pinball game machine. Like it's not, she's in California. That's where a lot of game developers and stuff are at. So it's nothing for her to interact. It's nothing for them to interact with the who's who of gaming on a regular basis, upfront and personal. And yes, this year, they're celebrating their 20th year anniversary. So these are people that I've aspired to even try, just give it a shot, MM2K, to try to, for lack of a better term, replicate, you know, from some level. And we do, and a lot of the facts that we present here, some of the facts that you guys may have gawked at first, frankly, because of your inexperience, laughing at NPD and stuff like that, is been etched in my mind and my being, that this is stuff that you have to know if you're going to talk about this at a serious level. This is the stuff that you need to know from these guys. They know their gaming talk. So if you're not familiar with Orange Lounge Radio, like if you're new to this, if you're new to gaming, if you're newer to gaming, new to content creation, meaning you've done this like the last 7 years, like have you really looked at gaming news and stuff like that? You've done it maybe within the last 7 years. And a lot of the gaming news prior to the last 7 years, you're really, you know, not that keen on, as far as investigating and knowing how this happened and that. Orange Lounge Radio, Bobby Blackwolf, and the entire VOG network, as far as the stuff that they do for gaming, is a must. Like, I'm going to keep it real with you. When someone tries to explain gaming to me, I can sense already how much you know from the things that you expect. And it's not that I don't have an appreciation for you as a person. It's not that I don't respect the fact that you feel like you're sharing something of any worth to me. I'm gonna let you get your rocks off. But I'm not wasting my time in absorbing anything that you have to say. If your mindset and your information doesn't extend past, let's say, PlayStation 2, or it doesn't extend past PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. Like, maybe if the gaming news, not just being a gamer of that era, but the gaming news, the decision makers, the reason why things happen, maybe if your lineage as far as deep diving gaming news extends back to the N64 days, honestly, a time period that where I didn't do gaming, but I was still, you know, I've caught myself up as far as the news back to, but I've been knowing about gaming news since for a while, right? But if your gaming chops don't extend till back then or the very beginning of the PlayStation 2, Xbox OG era, not just you being around playing game, but your deep gamer knowledge doesn't extend to back then, there's nothing you can tell me about gaming. And that's not to say that I'm better than you. It's just to operate off the practice that when it comes to this stuff, when you're building a knowledge base, this is how it works. You inquire about something. You gain knowledge off that inquiry, kick the tires on it, make sure that it's accurate. Once you've learned that part of the thing that you've been inquiring on, then you cement that and you move up and move to the next part and rinse and repeat. So if I've already been around and I already know the ins and outs of why Xbox went through the rigors of losing $10 billion I've already heard from the execs. I've been around when it happened. I experienced it and researched it. And I know why Xbox lost $10 billion getting into gaming. I'm not going to sit here and listen to your crackpot explanation of why it happened when the people have already, when it's already cemented in fact and history. If that makes sense, right? So it was very important for me to get Dark Sakura on the mic because I listened to Gamertag Radio for years. Way back when, I want to say, I discovered them when I was playing Mass Effect 3. And I flooded your chat boards talking about Mass Effect 3. Had a good old time. Now, as I started creating my own content, I kind of got disconnected because it's, you know, when you're creating your content and you're researching stuff, it's hard for you to listen to stuff the way that you want to. But I've always, you know, checked in and listened, you know, periodically. I wasn't able to catch every single episode. I'm not able to catch every single episode of anything that I want to listen to anymore. It's very hard for me to do that. But I'm always checked in, listened to the content, and it was there's not been one episode that hasn't been enlightening, even when the news was slow. They find stuff. It's not just about them getting clicks or getting more people to like what they're doing so they can become popular. Like, they really work at informing their listeners. And so that's another thing that I've derived from them. There's a lot of gamers out there that are coming into this every day who don't understand why things are the way that they are. Let's inform them. And that will help them better understand the decisions that are being made. Not, I want to entertain the crap out of you and give you my take on things, simply so you can raise up my views and get the blue check mark next to me. No. That's why I don't aim for that, because they don't aim for that. People definitely know who they are. But as far as them clickbaiting or whatever for attention, nah, it's never been their thing. And it takes an appreciation towards information, factual information, and knowledge building to appreciate that. So that's why it was important for me to bring Dark Sakura on, because I discovered that Dark Sakura liked Stadia. And I was like, oh, she like, holy crap. So I chatted with her. We set up the interview. And we had the interview yesterday. And my brothers will appreciate this. They'll understand. They know I love them. They know I love them to death. As much as I love episode 100 and how it was matter of fact and factual and plausible in regards to the state of Stadia, as much as I appreciated that, I just looking at the actions of last week, I think all of that factual, realistic stuff flew over your head. Because you don't have the lineage, you don't have the connection to why things are the way that they are. So therefore, you don't so much have the ability to create plausible expectations under certain circumstances. So we tried something different with episode 101. With episode 101, it was like two neutrons just collided and changed the space-time continuum, me and Dark Sakura. And we just went on a tangent, a tear about the state of gaming altogether. All this stuff, covered everything, the issues with the thought process that's going behind it right now, where it came from, what's good about it, what's bad about it, the perceptions that people have that are erroneous, You got that education because Dark Sakura is of a particular field. So y'all can't argue her down about the particular things that we're talking about as it relates to resolution and frames per second, because this is what she does. And then we go into Stadia. And then we talk about the good, the bad, and the things that are made to look ugly. That definitely you keep a critical tongue to when need be, but you don't have to accent that critical tongue with, oh no, it's over. And I mean, now that we think about it, I mean, we don't know if it's coming to an end. I'll let you listen to her take on it. And again, this is somebody that she's not a Stadia zealot, as you guys like to call me and others. She plays Dead by Daylight primarily on there. She's going to add Marvel Avengers to it, right? She's going to add Marvel Avengers to her streaming cycle, but she appreciates the platform for what it is. She knows that it's growing, and she knows it's growing, and it's doing so without knocking the socks off. She knows that cloud gaming in general is not knocking the socks off. She knows that Stadia, again, is of the top performing cloud platform with its peers. She knows that because she don't look at Google Trends to determine that, because she has the lineage and better understanding of that, opposed to just looking for things to caveat to supplement an emotion. Very wise stuff that you get to hear. And mind you, me and Dark Sakura, we didn't pre-plan anything. The only thing that I do is when I have interviews, I do let people know the talking points and stuff that I want to cover. That's it. I sent that to her. And when I say talking points, I mean the questions that I want to ask. I sent that to her. But when you hear this conversation, 98% of that is nothing that I sent to her. We covered so many great things. It wasn't pre-planned, but it's something that you all need to hear so desperately. More so than episode 100. As great as episode 100 is, as I think when we go back to it and people listen to it down the road, they're going to be like, hot damn. Clive and John and them, they were really on to something, and they were trying to pre-warn us to stop going off the deep end emotionally. Let's look at things logically, and if we can't understand why something is a certain way, maybe we missed something. Maybe it's something that we have to get a better understanding of in our whole 5,000 feet view of gaming. I think history will have episode 100 pegged as one of those moments. Not because of me, because of the greatness of Clive and John, and being able to understand, again, where this platform is headed, opposed to why it's where it's at, and just the state of gaming from 5,000 feet. But episode 101 speaks more to the deficiencies, and no lack of a better term, to the deficiencies that have exposed themselves in this community. The waffling, the Stadia is great, I love it, it's perfect. Then something negative happens. Negative stuff happens everywhere. A game's not coming. That happens to Xbox all the time. Again, we saw where my good friend Bloody Knuckles, shout out to him, and congratulations to him to all his streaming success, where he almost ished the bed because we got the NIS America games and they didn't. right? So games don't come to that people really want, don't come to platforms all the time. And especially a young platform like Stadia. Like, I don't know what you guys would have done during the OG Xbox era. If you're basing everything off of popular games, like we look back at the OG Xbox era and we look at the games that were there and we're like, ooh, that was a good game. Ooh, that was a great game. Yeah, that was good. But they weren't popular. That was just in retrospect. Opposite of Halo, they weren't popular. How can I say that? Because the Xbox lost 29,000 to 29 million to 150 million to PlayStation 2. All of the popular games were on PlayStation 2. Hardly any were on Xbox. So I don't know what you guys would have done back then. You know what I mean? So again, people like Jamie, myself, John, Clive, whoever, we were around back then. We understand gaming, so we don't just have these lofty expectations based off of certain scenarios that's centered around just a small slither of the gaming pie. The community really needs to hear this conversation. And again, as a pre-warning, it's not so, this Stadia specific stuff. Don't make up the bulk of this conversation. This is about gaming in general leading up to Stadia. And the thought process and the actions that happen that helps explain why a lot of these notions, a lot of this waffling that we see. And Stadia's great. I love it. And nothing in the world can beat it. And any trivial thing that happens, that content is created around. And again, I can no longer point fingers at a content creator, whether it's Rich from Review Tech, Yongye, anybody. I can't point fingers at them anymore. Because content creation alone doesn't equate to beginning to the end factual analysis. Most of it is based upon how entertaining am I? How much do I cling to your ear? Do I grab your attention rather? That's entertainment. You can grab people's attention without being factual. All the way through. So that's just the state of you have to be smarter than that before you absorb your belief. You can be entertained and enjoy something, but it's like if you're sitting around a campfire and someone says, back in the woods is a killer called Booger and Them's. He's eating the wild animals raw. And let you go beyond that tree. Booger and Them's. It's gonna rip your throat off with his 29 fangs coming out of 2 teeth. Oh. And then you're like jumping and you're like, oh, you get up and it's a campfire story. And you get up and you go, so-and-so, that was a great campfire story, man. And then you go to the other people that are sitting by you. And you're like, man, wasn't that great? All right, well, I gotta go take a whiz back here. I'll be back, guys, and then maybe we'll hear some more campfire stories. What? Well, hold on, MM2K, what are you doing? What do you mean? No, MM2K, don't go by that tree. What the F are you talking about? Booger and Them's, man. He's eating all the wild buffalo in the forest. Didn't you hear the story? And I sit there and I look. I feel like pitching, and so some of y'all feel like pitching into a campfire. Like, I can enjoy entertaining stories and notions and emotionally filled synopsises about things. I can enjoy them too. I don't absorb them as fact like you guys do. So then begs the question, like I always ask, which is the $1,000,000 question. Do you want to be entertained or do you want to belong? What am I talking about? Again, this whole Ubisoft thing, which I think is at the heart of this. But let me just start from the beginning. So, a collection of content. Now let's do this. A collection of content last week focused on games with various things going on with them. You know, there's games that have bugs, games that don't have certain content that's on other platforms, and games that don't have certain features that have been spoken on, like crossplay, right? So, and these issues were all tethered together in some forms of the community space. Like it's all the same thing. If it's a game-breaking bug, if it's DLC that's not on the Stadia version of a game, opposed to a PlayStation version of the game, or if it's, you know, if it's crossplay, it's all the same. These are things that are egregiously wrong. Okay. So I want to do again. We're changing our content. Normally, when we have these discussions going out, you're not going to get that long ass soliloquy that you just got from me. You're not going to get it anymore. You're not going to get it here. This is going to be all about you. But I want one last time as a precursor, as a warm up to the fantastic interview that I did with Dark Sakura. I just want to ask you guys some questions. All right. So I'm going to put this question up here. Let's do this. Let's do this for kicks and giggles, right? And I want to shout out Jorg Angulo for becoming a member. Thank you so much, my friend, for the support. Let's see here. All right, so let's do this. Why can't I do the poll? All right, here goes the poll question. I want to put this up here for you guys and gals. So we're going to ask these questions. Bear with me now. Bear with me now. Come on. Jesus Christ. Why did I think I just, when I pictured this in my head, I imagine it being a lot easier to do than it actually is. So I'm gonna put these questions up here and I'm gonna give you guys a chance to answer them. And then we're gonna go through the chat and we're gonna, you know, get chat responses and stuff like that. You know, like a regular open mic forum. So again, I'm putting these questions up here. Here are the questions. Here's the big question right here. Which issue has prohibited you from enjoying a game on Stadia? I want you to think back to when you were like, damn, I really didn't enjoy a game on Stadia, or I didn't enjoy my experience with Stadia because. Was it out of these options? Again, I wish I could put more, but I can't. But this is all relative to the thing that everybody was slapping cabinets about last week. Was it game-breaking bugs, missing DLC, and crossplay? All three, or nothing listed? Just let me know and be honest. Be honest. While we're doing that, let's go through the chat, see what people got to say. The intro is longer than the body. Laugh out loud, says Jake718. Stadia is back online with NBA 2K. Cool, awesome. Simpleton, shout out to Simpleton. He says, I admit that sounds harsh, MM. Some people are just passionate and enthusiastic. Oh, no, you're saying, I mean that sound, MM2K and myself take 30 minutes before. Hold on. I mean that sounds harsh, MM2. Some people are just passionate and enthusiastic. I'm not sure which part you're talking about, Simpleton. I'm gonna guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm talking about people that waffle or whatever. I get that you're passionate. I get that you're enthusiastic. But what people tend to do is they operate off their emotions, which isn't proven, which isn't plausible. And then they want to compare it to somebody that is speaking plausibly and saying, "Oh, why are you saying that right now? You're just being you're being a shill." They want to criticize somebody because that is speaking factually, that is pivoting from a factual place because their emotions are somewhere. That says to me that, and you're lashing out. That says to me that you can't control your emotions. And whenever people are in a space that are talking about something factual, and you feel like you have to interject and smother their spreading of factual analysis or factual breakdown of what's going on, if you got to smother what they're saying because you're emotionally locked somewhere, you can't control your emotions. And there's no justification of that to me. Why? Not because of you, not because we can do better for you, not because of even the speaker like myself or whatever. I can handle myself. It's not justified because of the unsuspecting gamer who again is involved in that factual absorption or that absorption of factual information. And here you have the audacity to interject. So the belief system is, okay, why, if this person is so vehemently interjecting themselves in this factual discussion, there must be some plausibility to what they're saying. Oh man, why are these people like, we often have situations in this community where, again, because things have emotionally got to a boiling point where somebody points out something factually that goes against what everybody's going crazy about. Oh, shut the hell up. Oh, what are you talking about? That and the other. Man, that don't make no sense, man. Man, who cares, man? Where's this? Where's that? Where's this? Where's that? Then the unsuspecting gamer is sitting at the end of that and they're like, no, what? Wow, they're really shooting down that guy. They must have a point. And they don't. They're just in their emotions. So as far as this platform is concerned, I get that people are emotional. People are emotional and do stuff all the time. That doesn't mean that it's right. It's not justified. And especially when you're harming the growth of somebody that's innocent, to me, that's a problem. Now, if they go in their own corners and they're just jipping about this, that's different. Who cares? But when they want to, on the same plateau, take their emotional, untested arguments and try to smother up the cascading of facts, then that's a problem. And I heard earlier someone say, or sectors actually give a claim to the thought process of, there's nothing wrong with spreading positivity, but when you kill negative information, then that's a problem. And that is true, but that's not a factual representation of what I think that sector was addressing. It's not. Because whether it's positive or negative, merits of any argument are worth debating. Nobody's beyond reproach. And if your analysis or your synopsis has holes in it, whether it's positive or negative, I think someone that knows otherwise that can surmise otherwise, they're responsible for putting that out there. Not just letting it go because the angry mob is the angry mob, but just let them because they're feeling a certain way. No. How many times can we go through history and prove where just because a large sector of people felt a certain way, they smothered those feelings over the more appropriate factual parts of a conversation? Not for the betterment of society, but to the detriment of society or just simply a community. We can go through history and count billions of times, not thousands, not millions, billions of times where that has been the case. And we go back and we sit there and say, why would those people act like that? Didn't they think about what they were doing? No, they didn't. Why? Because we make excuses for not kicking the tires before we react. It's a human emotion. Of course. Of course. I always tell this to my kids, which they get it now, but they never got it when I told it to them. I said, your brain is like a calculator. It's like an old school calculator. And for those that remember, like the old school Texas Instruments, when you would put in an algebraic, equation or whatever, you would see it roll through numbers, right? For like maybe half a second. You'll see it roll through a crap ton of numbers. And then it stops on the correct answer. That's how our brain is. As we're trying to get to the answer, our brain flips through various scenarios, emotions, things like that, to try to decipher what's going on. And hopefully, if we know how to recognize things, understand patterns or whatever, what our brain does based upon our knowledge base, rather. Let me put it like that, because a lot of people that do stuff, they don't do stuff because they think it's wrong. They actually think it's right. But they'll do wrong things and justify them to get to a conclusion that they feel is right. They'll lie about things. They'll lie about activities and stuff like that. And they know they're lying about it, but they feel like they're serving a greater good, right? So when you equate that to how the human mind is actually like an old school calculator, there's a lot of things that float through our head that is trying to get to the most plausible answer based upon our experience. And sometimes that answer that our brain comes up with is right. Sometimes it's wrong based upon our knowledge base. But nobody, for the most part, does things because they know it's wrong. And that's just the ends of the means. No, a lot of people do things because they feel like that in order to get to this right mean, these are the things that I need to do. But regardless of all that, the way our brain operates, the problem with social media that a lot of people aren't grasping the concept behind or realizing what's going on is that social media has now justified the usage of those wrong numbers that the brain is calculating through. Like, hold on, is it this? No. Is it that? No. It's shining a light on that process, and therefore making the spotlight, the focus, the process, opposed to the correct answer. So then that in turn makes us focus on the bevy emotions that we're going through, that the brain is naturally going to go through while we're finding the plausible answer, and we're focusing less on the plausible answer. More and more and more. So someone who's Gotta think logically. That's how I feed my family, especially now as someone that's project managing something vital. Like my error rate has to be something ridiculous, meaning I can make one error maybe every 2 years. You know what I'm saying? And I'm handling, sheesh, 18,000. I'm going over 18,000 client relationships a month. I am overseeing for what I do, for what my project management role is now. I'm overseeing the activity of 18,000 relationships. I can make one error every 2 years and just be on the fence from that. That's how vital, critical what it is that I'm doing. But I've been doing it for years. I've created a great system with roadblocks around it. That's why it's been given to me. So as someone who realizes that the best foot forward is to think logically the best way that you can. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. I'm far from a rocket scientist. You don't have to be a rocket scientist or the smartest person on the planet. Damn, you don't have to be the smartest person in the room to think logically about stuff, especially information and notions that are being cascaded to other gamers. But social media has adored the process that our brain is going through to find the right answer opposed to the right answer. And StadiaDosage has been created to fight that trend. No! You can stand at amazement and be like, wow, the brain really does this and that. But the focus has to be the most plausible answer at the end of the process. And you get there by looking up facts, looking up logic, knowing people, talking to people close to the facts and the logic, building on those relationships, and not being tethered to the number rolling. All right. So that part of it, because also as someone who has been a victim of false information cascading during a conversation that was based upon logic, and people so adamantly and in an absolute fashion talking about things when I'm logically trying to get to an ends to a means, because I've been victim of that plenty of times. I understand how that works out against the innocent. And I care about people over someone's just unrealistic emotions, right? So that's why, of course, I recognize that everybody has emotions. We all do. But that doesn't mean that doesn't excuse you from the responsibility of keeping those emotions in check. And again, letting those numbers roll until they get to the most logical ends, if that makes sense. I don't want to sound like I'm having some masterclass somewhere on relativity, the meaning of life and relativity, but I think you guys get where I'm coming from. What's going on, MM2K? Shout out to Chariot Man Gaming. What's up? Oh no, MM just got started. Let me see here. Mostly want to play with my friends who happen to be on the platforms like PC or sometimes other consoles. Yeah, and since most recently I had to admit some friends who are starting up Arc private server that even though I have the game, I can't play with them because Stadia can't do it. Yeah, absolutely. And we're gonna talk about that. I think that's a good. He said, I don't mind people speaking from emotion. I can agree to disagree. Like you wrong about Activision sale. Oh, that's funny. He says the trolls with the clickbait that are disingenuous and argue in bad faith that I dislike. No, I mean, I get where you're coming from, Simpleton, but again, there's a difference between, like I said, okay, so understand what I'm saying. Now I think I better understand what your argument is. So Simpleton, if you come to me and you say, you know what, I'm looking at all these things that are going on with Stadia, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't see how they do this, or I don't see how they're going to be able to do this, or you know, to me, it just doesn't make any sense. And I don't think that they're going to be, to me, that's plausible. That makes sense. That's your opinion. That's not just an emotion. That's your opinion. Now that's something different. And as we always say here, I don't think people can be wrong for how they feel. You feel the way that you feel based off of your knowledge base. That's what I was saying earlier. So you feel how you, but my problem is when you take what you feel, you don't bounce it off of facts, but you speak absolutist of it. There's a difference between, I don't see how Stadia can compete long-term when they're doing X, Y, Z. I just don't see it. That's different, but that's a plausible opinion opposed to you saying, you know what, Stadia's doing all this because they're shutting down. I can't put my finger on when they're going to do it, but they're shutting down. That's a problem. And that's not coming from trolls. There are people that wholeheartedly believe that. And they spout that, but they want to be right. So they spout it as fact and they cause hysteria because they have to be right. They don't care about the gamer. Like, you can be concerned about like-minded gamers and say, look, I'm going to be honest with you. From my experience, that, you know, this is a sign of this and this is a sign of that. So I'm going to tell you what I think. I think that they're not going to make it, and because they can't compete. That's just my opinion. That's where I'm taking it. When you do something like that, I think that's fair because you're speaking to like-minded gamers. Because like-minded gamers will say, okay, well, he's taking his experience based upon his or her objectivity, and they're coming up with a synopsis. And that might be good for them, but I don't fit into that category. So I'm going to, but I appreciate what they're doing. I can appreciate that, opposed to you trying to force feed your synopsis is fact. No. They are doing this for sure. That's where it becomes a problem. So even when we're talking about the Activision deal, I do give facts. I've said just based upon my experience of who I got to talk to or who I've had to talk to. Thank God I ain't got to talk to them anymore. Well, I don't want to jinx myself, but and what I do, I haven't had to talk to them in years, but I've had to talk to top regulating government entities. So I know all about the thought process behind CMA. I wasn't familiar with them as an organization or as an entity, but I understand the thought process behind them because even working for a Fortune 500 American company, our companies or average companies, if they want to do this well, because they're all using the same training tools, third-party training tools and stuff like that, you have to have a better understanding of the UK or the Euro laws than you do the US laws, because the UK and Euro laws are so complicated and there's so many of them that even though you might be on US soil, the UK says if you're practicing this, that, or wherever, anywhere in your company, it's a violation to us. So so when I speak about that and the impact, when I speak about that, and the decision-making process or the thought process behind it. That's where I'm speaking absolutist and speaking factual because I have experience there and I know how that stuff works. But where I'm giving my thought process and my opinion that you don't agree with, for example, Simpleton, is what I think the end result may be or what I think the end conclusion is going to be. That's my opinion. And I speak of it that way. But I don't sit there and say as a matter of fact, this, that, and the other. It's my opinion. And people are entitled to their opinion just as long as they phrase it that way. You know what I mean? So. Simpleton is crazy. Dusty Aran says, yep, just this weekend on the Nintendo podcast, they were talking about Resident Evil 8 going to Switch via the cloud. One of the hosts said to just play it on Stadia. Yeah. Or whatever they want to do. They can play it on Nintendo Cloud if they love their Nintendo unit that much, it's fine. But I definitely get your point, Dusty. All right, the poll is still up there, still going. Vote. Right now, it's at interesting levels. Can't say I'm surprised. What issues have prohibited you from enjoying a game on Stadia? Game-breaking bugs is at 12%. Missing DLC and crossplay is at 19%. And bugs, DLC, and all three of them is at 25%. And the majority the single majority selection is nothing listed. So keep voting. We only got 16 votes in. Let us know. All right. So So back to the thing that caused our achy breaky hearts, if I could quote Billy Ray Cyrus. Let me ask y'all a question that I want an answer to. Do you guys and gals in this chat consider game-breaking bugs, missing DLC, and crossplay all on the same level? Like, let's just say, for instance, let's take Resident Evil Village. If Resident Evil Village had a game-breaking bug, would you buy it still? If Resident Evil, let's just say, for instance, let me phrase it better. If Resident Evil Village had a game-breaking bug on Stadia, would you still buy it? And some people would say, well, I'd buy it. Well, some people would still buy it in hopes of saying, look, I just want to get the game, play what I can, and, maybe avoid the game-breaking bug the best way that I can, or, wait for a patch. I just want to get it and play it now. Some people are like that, and consumers can spend their dollars however they want to. This is not about what people should do. This is about what people are likely to do. There's a reason why we're going through this exercise this way. We are breaking down what people are likely to do. So again, my question for the chat. Matter of fact, let me do this. Let me make it a poll question. Let's end this poll right here. And then we're going to start a new one. If a game you really wanted to play on Stadia had a game-breaking bug, would you still buy it? These are not gotcha questions. I'm just gonna run somewhere real quick. I'll be right back. Just answer that question. If a game you really wanted to play on Stadia had a game-breaking bug, would you still buy it? I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. All right. Oh, wow. I didn't expect I didn't expect that result, but hey, we're going over plausibility. We only got 7 votes. Come on, y'all. Please vote. These are not gotcha questions. I don't see, we got 17 people watching right now, only 7 votes. Come on, 10 more of y'all can vote, and I'll never be the wiser. Again, the question is, if a game has a game-breaking bug on Stadia, would you still buy it? And the people that are listening to this may say, why the hell would you still buy? Because some people may say, well, I really want that game bad, and I'll just avoid the game-breaking bug, or I'll play it and risk it and hope that there's a patch for it. An example that I gave is it's a game you really want to play. I think a game that a lot of stadiums adore on the platform is Resident Evil Village. I use that as an example. All right. So while we're doing this, let's go to the chat. Jeremy Moan says, Resident Evil Village is not my jam, but I will relate to a game I do like. I still think I would buy it and wait until a patch or 2 have happen makes it playable. I've got back. And again, Jeremy, thank you for sharing that. And I don't want anybody to think that I was trying to guilt trip them into saying yes or no. Just be honest. I won't be the wiser but thank you, Jeremy, for sharing your thoughts on that. Sean L says, no, all of them suck, but they are not the same. I buy games and never buy the DLC, or buy DLC and never touch. A game-breaking bug will make me not touch a game at all. And that is, I'm going to take that comment and I'm going to tag that comment only because I'm not going to address the full comment. Sean L, you need to get the hell out of my notes. Shout out to my brother. I love Sean L. Sean, we got to get you on the podcast, man. You've been showing all this love to Cowboy. The hell with the damn Cowboy. I'm gonna say it live on there. The hell with a damn Cowboy. When I'm gonna see you on MM2K's content? No, my brother Sean L, longtime supporter. I love my brother. Great response. I'm only gonna address part of it right now, where he says, no, all of them suck, but they are not the same. I buy games that never buy. Now, this is the part I'm going to address. I buy games and never buy the DLC. My brother and I look at DLC differently. My brother has 4 years on me. So he's more embedded in the area, in the time frame, or the era, excuse me, of the time frame, where the programmers, the devs, rather, tried to put everything they could in the game right then and there, so you got everything that you needed. You know what I'm saying? My brother never bought DLC, never in his life. He thinks he's always said he thinks it's a scam, and if the game itself isn't good enough from beginning to end and fulfilling enough from beginning to end, he don't want to deal with it with any extra stuff. He thinks that people buying DLC and all this other stuff is beginning of the downfall of gaming. I was with him, but I was not as strong-willed. So I've become more acceptable to DLC, but a lot of people may not buy DLC. I don't even know to say the most. Not everybody buys the DLC when it comes. A lot of people do. Is one group right and the other group is wrong? You game the way that you want to game. But that's how my brother feels about it. He feels that a game from A to Z, if it isn't fulfilling enough when you first bought it, It's the problem. And he thinks DLC is just a money grab, that they purposely cut out content, major content that they could have included. And he's talking about games that are not service games. Service games are different, but my brother's not real big on service games because as he's gotten older, he can't play games, you know, like we used to be able to play them. But he does not agree with DLC and all the other stuff. I had a similar take, but I had a less stronger will. Simpleton says, I got an example of that. Lumote had a bug where you couldn't finish the second world. I still played it and enjoyed it until I got to that bug. Then I revisited it after it was fixed. So again, somebody else, that's their habit. That's what they're going to do. But again, crossplay is a luxury to me, but honestly, for me, I mainly play games solo with randos. Yeah. Crossplay is a highly desirable feature for those games where it makes sense to have multiplayer. Absolutely. And both of these comments can be plausible in the same space and same time. Why? Because they boil down to gamer choice. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. We got 11 votes, 17 viewers. Come on, we're still 6 short. Come on, y'all. YouTube doesn't give me any data. Damn it, YouTube don't even give me all my compensation at times. You know what I'm saying, that I'm supposed to get. So they are not giving me your information. Vote. Just vote. Let us know what you think about this. So that's what I'm saying. All right, can we get at least one more vote? Because I want to move on. All right. I was going to put up more polls. I see that y'all don't want to participate, but I think we get the gist of it now. I think we're good enough now. If people participate more, then great. Let me do this. Again, tweet this out. Let people know that we're live. Here, let me do this. Tweet this out. We are live. Join and partake the conversation. Do this. I'm gonna do this too here. Let's tweet it out. Let's go here as well. Let's tweet it out. What's going on? How come it won't let me? And then what I'll do is it's available at is the date. Schedule it. Go back here. Bada boom, bada bing. All right. So well, even percentage wise, they do. Ron, I mean, people are going to say, no, well, of course they do because they have way more games. No, even when you go like it. When you look at the games that are recorded as broken from the best of our ability, it's like with broken bugs and glitches, we're talking about 5% of, no, not even 5%. Let's do the math. Stadia has about 291 games. No, I did that wrong. There's about 5 games that have considered like serious issues, performance issues, and bugs. So you divide that by 291, that's 1%. That's 1.7%. Like, you guys do realize that, right? 1.7% of the games have bugs in them. Now, I feel like if we do this poll for the DLC and then the crossplay, people are going to say it's going to swing farther to, yeah, I'll still buy the game. I'm not, I don't need crossplay. I know crossplay enhances certain games, but it's not needed for the way I play or the games that I play. It's going to swing in the other way, you know what I'm saying? As far as all three. You know what I mean? But I just wanted to show everyone that was caught in this hype the actuality of things. Let's do this as well. Why isn't this? Oh God! I thought I copied this link up. Hold on. I'm gonna go somewhere else. I want to show you guys something else. I want to ask you, do you realize that this was brought up before? So people may say, you know what, MM2K? It doesn't matter that that it's only 5% of this. It's growing. We've heard that it's growing, and this is getting out of control. That's the consensus that we're hearing now amongst people now that are, again, slapping cabinets over the collective of broken games, DLC, and crossplay, which I think, okay, so now we got, okay, good. So I can end the poll now. I can end the poll, and 62% said no, they wouldn't buy the game, or 61% said no, which makes sense. So now let me ask, okay, so now that we've established that, we've crunched the numbers. Stadia has 291 games roughly. There's about 5 games that I can see per a universal listing that's out there that references games that have performance or bug issues. And out of those 5 games, or no, really it's 4 games. I think it's 4 games. Let me look at the list. So from the universal listing that's being posted for the community, here's what it is. Cyberpunk is missing cross progression. Risk of Rain has broken multiplayer and performance issues. That's 1. World War Z is missing crossplay. Outward, low quality rendering, no definitive edition. So that's content rather, and low quality rendering. I don't even know what that means. Ark Survival Evolved, definitely. Out of date versions break server support. I mean, Ark has to be the worst game on Stadia. So that's 2. Humankind missing updates for several months. I don't consider updates in DLC the same thing. I think updates are more addressing issues. I think that's more critical than DLC, so I'm including that. That's 3. Fast and Furious, this is going to get Cowboys juices churning. Fast and Furious Spy Racers missing Arctic Challenge expansion. That's content. Avicii and Vector missing levels on Stadia. Again, that's content. Jotun Valhalla, now this might be the most egregious one. Jotun Valhalla Edition cannot be completed on Stadia. That's how bad the game-breaking bug is. That's 4. Legend of the Keepers missing expansions. That's content. Blue Fire missing expansions. That's content. And titles from Outright Games missing expansions on Stadia. That's content. So for the bug list, we have Risk of Rain 2, Ark Survival Evolved, Humankind, and Jotun. So really, I did my math wrong. I should have divided 291 into 4. So we're going to do that. 291 divided by 4 equals 1.3%. So let me not use the word reasonably. Understandably, 61% of the people that voted said, no, I'm not buying a game that has a game-breaking bug. So how many games on Stadia opposed to using the listing that's now available to the community? How many fit under that category? 1.3% of the games on Stadia. I'm willing to bet, as the homie Ron Slusher has alluded to, it's far worse on PC. Far worse. Just due to the complexities of PC, it's far worse. Right? Just due to the when I say complexities, I mean when people develop for PCs, they have to develop for a wide variety of different internal parts. So you could have certain video cards or whatever that just spark off certain things that a dev no longer has the reach. Like there's games that are on PC every day. So you could have a situation where devs just say they just walk away from a game. And this is Steam. This is a storefront, Steam as well. They just walk away from a game and say, screw it. And the game may be decommissioned or whatever, may not be. Or dev is promising to work on it and it's just taking forever. But again, whatever the numbers are there, 1.3% of the games that are on Stadia have these issues. Okay. 1.3%. Now I'm going to ask the second question. Oh, whoops, that's the wrong. Let's ask the second question. If a game you really wanted to play on Stadia was missing DLC, would you still buy it? We're going to break up DLC and crossplay. If a game that you really wanted to play on Stadia was missing DLC, would you still buy it? Let's go into the chat while we're waiting on responses for that. Amador says, why would anyone buy a game full price with a game-breaking bug unless you don't care about your money? Well, people play the way that they want to play. People gave you examples. There is no standard to what you want to do with your money when it comes to video games, for crying out loud. This is not a presidential campaign. This is not investing money into a militia. This is video games. There is no standard as far as how you want to spend your money for a video game. And that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. That's been my message, my MO, since the beginning of this. Stop trying to tell gamers what to do like they're stupid. And you're the only smart one in the room. I beckon back to the whole situation with Outbreak Games. And I got to tell you, I don't know if you guys have heard it, but some little birdies have told me about some crazy myths and crazy myths and conspiracy theories about Outbreak Games and how it got got to the end of the Kickstarter campaign, right? And so I had a conversation with some great people that I know and that I enjoy and I love that heard it and we had questions about it because they didn't have the experience. Admittedly, they didn't have experience in certain aspects of this. But they couldn't say if it was true or if it wasn't true. And I said, this is my answer. There are certain things that are being put out there in the ethos because some have an agenda. This is all part of their agenda. And this is what they're going to do. Like, for instance, COVID. COVID is going to COVID. It has one purpose and one purpose only: to infect your body and do whatever the hell it can to your body. That's just the way that it's designed. That's just the way it's going to operate. There is no getting around it. Yeah, we can sit there and panic and, oh my God, COVID. But the best thing you can do is protect yourself against COVID. Some of the things that are being put out there in the ethos that are untethered to facts, that are not vetted, that are just emotionally based, they are what they are. There's an agenda behind them, whether albeit be clicks or whatever or make me right, whatever the case may be. Even if I am wrong, I want to give the illusion that I am right for whatever. It's going to do what it's going to do. You have to protect yourself against it. So be understanding that that element is out there. And you got to kick the tires on stuff. What isn't known to the people spreading that malarkey is that there are other entities involved that have a divided interest in that game. Other professional entities that can't move forward unless they confirm as well that everything is on the up and up. Because, and they're not betting trust me, they're not betting the future of their company as much as we love Evan and them on a two-man show. They got other clients, they got other people that they deal with. This is when people start, and unfortunately, sometimes becomes susceptible to this stuff when they don't have the experience. And like they always say, sometimes sometimes a lie sounds better than the truth. It's more entertaining than the truth, as the saying actually goes. There are other people invested, and trust me, they have better resources, they have better tools, they have more proficient eyes, and we got to be realistic. It's okay. It doesn't mean that our lives are meaningless. We're great at what we're great at. But they're better at this stuff than we are. And that's why they have successful businesses in that area and we don't. So believe you me, the entities that are involved are going to make sure that XYZ is happening, opposed to a couple of sleuths of us that follow the internet sayings about things that are happening with games. But again, when you're not tethered to understanding how client vendor relationship works, the checks and balances that are in places, and you basically just type something up filled from your emotions, you're able to create this dynamic that if people just eat that up, then yes, a community may be ripe for the picking for whenever you decide to put out there what you want to put out there. You may say, oh, that's deplorable. I can't believe that they did that or whatever. But no, you can't be mad at them. Like I said, COVID is going to COVID. How have you protected yourself versus this nonsense is the question. It's on you. I'm not mad at the stuff people put out on social media anymore. I may, wake up, choose violence a particular day and want to debunk something that somebody, just for fun, for craps and giggles. But I'm not mad at what. There's too much logical, factual information. There are too many of us out here that are embedded in it and talk about this stuff, that are recognized, that are known, that have platforms as well, that do this on a daily basis, for there to be any excuse. And if you're somebody that likes the platform, now I get it. If you're somebody that's soured about the platform, then you belong over there. If you're soured about the platform, reasonably you would go elsewhere and find something that you like. But if you're soured about the platform and you love being stuck in misery and torturing yourself, then that's where you belong. I get that. But if you're someone that plays games with us, that have been there in community days and stuff like that, so you know who we are, and you know the facts that we've pointed you to, and you know more often than not that the facts that we put out there have been the things that come to fruition, then you should know better. And there's no excuse for you to waffle, go back and forth without preparing yourself. So to go back to that old adage that was being thrown around last week about, there's nothing wrong with being positive, but when you go after somebody for being negative, that's malarkey. That's not what's going on here. As you'll see in my conversation with Dark Sakura tomorrow, we spend an extensive amount of the time that we do. I mean, we don't focus on, it's not a Stadia conversation like episode 100 is. I think we did enough of that. So we didn't want to do a regurgitation of that and just have somebody else do it. We wanted to have somebody that understands gaming, because people try to act like they understand the lineage and they don't. And they say, well, Stadia should be doing this instead. So we actually brought somebody on that understands the lineage, that helps you understand why certain decisions are made, why certain things are foolish, why certain things should be done better. And out of the time that we do talk about Stadia of today, we focus a lot of that time talking about things that we wish were done better. So it's not about smacking down criticisms or any negativity. If anybody knows, the most critical time period for Stadia, I'm gonna say this out there. I want this to be a reminder to everybody that sits there and says, MM2K, you cap, you do all this, and you only do this for Stadia. What was that? One time I was accused of wanting free codes, and from people that I'm not mad at them about it. I got a chuckle out of it. Now somebody else didn't like it, but and they took exception to that, was ready to bite heads off. But from all the stuff that was being said about my motives, opposed to just me wanting the facts and me not agreeing with your synopsis, and me having something to say about your synopsis that's untethered to the facts, there is no agenda except for spreading facts. But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to take ownership of this myself and be the self-proclaimed person in this realm. In Stadia's most critical point, in Stadia's most critical moment, during a period where opposite of this moment, you were hard pressed to find anybody that was more pro Stadia. We pumped the brakes on that pro Stadia stuff and did our best to give Stadia, for lack of a better term, the coming to Jesus speech that they needed, not for one day, not for two, not for 5, not for a week, not for a week and a half, but for 2 weeks straight. We lambasted Stadia for how they handled the closure of SG&E originally. We lambasted them. These are the same people that when the channel simply, when I was the primary person, doing it until it became the great entity that it is now because of everyone else's contributions, when it was just primarily me and we crossed 200 followers, these are the same people that sent me a mug and a backpack and said, congratulate. You know what I'm saying? So if it was all about the swag or all about the codes, this wouldn't have happened. 2 straight weeks, we lambasted Stadia like nobody else. I don't care what you say. And friend or foe, people that I love, that I cherish, nobody lambasted Stadia like we did. For 2 weeks, we did it. More so, better deep than anybody. And I'll go to as crazy as it sounds, I'll go anywhere to the moon and the stars and beyond and take that claim. Nobody did it more so than us. Even to the point where MM2K got hit up. Hey, MM2K, a lot of people are freaking out because of this SG&E thing. Man, we just want people to still believe in Stadia. Can you sign this postcard with us and tell us you believe in Stadia? I said, the hell I will. The devil is a lie. They should be lambasted for how they handled that message. They gave it to Kotaku and they didn't speak to the gamer that consistently had to deal with Stadia shutting down Stadia. It was a matter of fact thing that was only for its business partners, really the way that it was crafted. They should be lambasted for that. And until they fix that, I'm gonna be lambasting them with everybody else. And I'm not gonna be lambasting them and saying, I believe that they're shutting down, that the product is crappy, but I'm lambasting them for the fact that they, with that moment, were so detached from what you need to do to pivot from a bad situation to get yourself back into a better one. We did it for 2 weeks straight. It was so serious that people were hitting me up and said, MM2K, I think it's enough. Stop it. I don't think I can follow you anymore. I said, well, hit the unfollow button, damn it, because we're going full speed ahead until this exchanges. I take the crown for that. I am not a braggart. I'm not a braggadocious person. But I am self-aware, the good and the bad. Nobody touched on that like I did. And I refused to put my name on that postcard for that reason, because you, the consumer, you, the follower, deserves better messaging and care than that over something that extreme. So I don't care what anybody has to say about, you can't attack negative stuff if you want to be positive, because that's the problem. No. Nobody is beyond reproach, including us. I don't care when people don't agree with our assessments or like our assessments. Hell, the Stadia Reddit is compromised of sock accounts and people that whenever I show my face and make a comment, they downvote it. They downvote it to hide it. They get to them, they log into their sock accounts, do whatever they got to do. And guess what? I never go away. If I'm in the middle of a discussion there, I keep going. Nothing stops me. Because I don't care. Again, I know the lineage of gaming. I see the product from 5,000 feet. I know it's not perfect. I have things that I recognize that it needs to do better and that we spoke to. You know what I'm saying? But I don't have these lofty, unplausible expectations that I'm going to hammer in every day just because other people are doing it. Like I said, if I'm a world-renowned scientist and I'm up there talking about how the world is round and polar caps and all this other stuff, and you jump up on stage with your hot air balloon or whatever the flat earthers work with and tell me that I need to stop my speech right now and dedicate more time to the earth being flat, I'm grabbing you by your face and I'm shoving you off the stage. Why? Because I don't care how many of you come on the stage and do that, I'm going to do the same thing repeatedly. Because the facts don't support the garbage that you're spewing. You don't get to cut in my time for that. So what I'm saying is, I'll go on Reddit, regardless of how many times they'll downvote it. I'll layeth the smackdowneth on anybody that wants to refute anything that I say with facts, and they can't do it. So what they can't rebut it. So what they do is they either fly away, or they just throw out more insults, and then they go log into their stock accounts and then they downvote it or whatever. But one thing that cannot be said about me or this platform is that we discourage criticism. Because if criticism of the platform was discouraged, I couldn't be here. I definitely couldn't be here. As the person that took of one of two people who took the boldest move during the SG&E closure and went beyond just taking the boldest move, because people frowned upon it. People were not happy. Went above and beyond and doubled down on why I took that move. See, other people took the move, didn't want to talk about it because they didn't want it to be controversial. I don't give a damn about what's controversial. I'm going to say what's right. Controversy is just, for most part, is subjective. Some things are controversial to people just because they're sensitive. We got a lot of sensitive elements in this community, whether they're positive or negative. You got to be honest about it. I love you. I love them like kids I've never paid child support for, but that's the reality of the game here. With that being said, I don't let that type of stuff hold any weight in my mind. I hear it and I laugh. I don't even scoff at it. I laugh at it. It's comical. It's just attempts to throw stuff out there to try to demagogue and put some type of negative connotation on what we do. To be honest with you, and I've tried this more. I may have cataloged certain groups that look at certain things a certain way, but I do it in a more comical sense, like the canoe people or whatever. But I'm going to say this, that, as I said earlier, a lot of the people that get worked up about a lot of these things and want to believe this doom and gloom about the platform, I truly believe that they feel like their notions are right, and they're doing it from a place of they just want the platform to do more. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just not a plausible thing. And so in order for the platform to do more, they think the justified thing, I think a lot of them do, is to overpurport what negative things mean, to make it seem like that a situation is dire than what it really is. They do all these other things to try to have some type of impact on what they want. And they say it's not the crime that gets people in trouble, but the cover up. And how that applies here is, it's not your opinions that are the problem. It's the evidence. It's the way that you try to cover up how it's just an opinion opposed to it not being a fact, and how you try to cover that up. That is the problem. How you try to demagogue people that don't agree with you. How you try to go out there and proclaim the most negative connotations about things that they're doing. That's what gets you in trouble, and that type of stuff never goes away. It's on the internet forever. So, again, that whole notion that because you may take a more positive stance and you may question the merits of negative connotations, meaning that you just are fighting negativity, that's false. You're going against the merits. Like, for instance, let me give you a prime example. I don't know if my brother Clive is here, and I got to get off to give you guys a break to get ready for Clive. But we're not having a debate. We just have a difference of opinion of the prospects of something here. So Division Heartlands, I don't see the logo. And I know Clive is probably listening to this and the eyes are rolling in the back of his head. He's like, hey, man, come on, man, let this be. But hear me out. I'm not doing this to be negative towards Stadia, because it's not Stadia's fault if a game doesn't come that normally would come under normal circumstances. And if a provider says, you know what, we're not bringing this game to you. We were going to bring it, but now we changed our mind. If they changed it, like, for instance, we don't know what's going on with Ubisoft. Did they change their cloud gaming perspective because of Tencent buying them out? We don't know what's going on. And the same can be said about Luna. Now Luna's not getting Skull and Bones. What happened there? Now they're not willing to confirm GFN on some of these games. We don't know what's going on. So Division Heartlands, when you look at the logos that are available, and I know this sounds silly, when you look at the logos and when you look at the beta page, Luna and Stadia have been completely removed, right? Now, if you go to the PR page, they say that the game is coming to console and cloud. But after these stunts that Ubisoft have pulled with no explanation, I don't know what cloud means anymore. Does cloud mean GFN? Does cloud mean GFN and maybe Game xCloud? Because remember, Ubisoft is talking about some deal that's supposed to come to fruition more at the end of the year with xCloud. Again, this is all speculative, but I have no reason, and I'm not one of these, again, the wafflers that think that this is just a Stadia problem. This is a cloud gaming thing, as far as I can see it. I do believe that there may be some contractual things. You know, I do completely follow Clive there. There might be some other, because that situation is just weird. But again, for now, I think that the right assessment is just, it's not coming to Mirage, for instance, is not coming to Stadia. But I'm seeing some other things happen in result of this. Like, it could be a contractual thing with Stadia, but it also could be a contractual thing with Luna as far as Skull and Bones. It could be a contractual thing with GFN as far as this one. Who knows what's going on? Stadia is not the only one that holds contracts with clients. So again, this is all speculative. I know Clive is going to sit there and say, God damn you, MM2K. But as far as I'm concerned, personally, again, I don't have any proof for this, but personally, I don't trust cloud being mentioned for Heartlands anymore. That could mean GFN and Game Pass. If we got time, we're going to talk about, is Ubisoft revving up for its own version of cloud via immersive stream? Maybe that's what's going on. Who knows? But I have my opinion about what's going on, which, if it's true, is a negative connotation about a situation. Or no, regardless if it's true or not, it's a negative synopsis about a situation where Clive's is more positive. So as co-owner or co-founder of a platform that likes to focus on the positive, because the negative is being covered everywhere. Jesus Christ. You would think that Stadia is no good, that they can't even appeal to its core demographic, it's doing horribly as far as engagement, and that It's just a waste of space. That this community is just made up of people that don't know nothing about gaming, that just want to belong somewhere. We're not really playing these games. We just want to belong somewhere on social media. So this is the clubhouse that we picked. People like Dark Sakura, who plays on everything, retro game, all that other stuff. She hit her head. Now she wants to just be part of this group too. If you look at all the news that's so the negative stuff is already being covered. The negative stuff is being covered 1,000 times over, and it's overkill. As Cowboy mentioned, talking about Mirage, it's like overkill now. It's just not coming at this point in time. Does this mean that the entire operation is shutting down? Jesus Christ. So we tend to be a counterbalance to all the negative noise that is out there. And we focus on a lot more of the positive stuff that isn't being covered out there because everybody is so focused on the negative noise, getting clicks, following headlines, all that other stuff, that we are focused on the community, servicing the community and making sure they get a balance of information to just offset the constant negativity that they're hearing 24/7. Because a lot of the community sits there and look at all that news and be like, I can't relate to it. The same way I did, that caused me to create StadiaDosage and co-create StadiaDosage.com. I said, when I look at these creators and these publications, I can't relate to what they're saying. I have a totally different experience. Is there like-minded people? Oh, hell yeah. We're having different experiences. And the proof is in the pudding. We're the ones playing games with each other. We're holding events. We're playing games with each other. We're doing things with each other. Other people tag their efforts as, well, we're going to talk about everything. Well, everything includes your enjoyment of the platform. Where's the game playing? Where's the game sessions? Where are they at? If we are doing everything and we're not, then there has to be enjoyment of the platform too. Not just saying something nice about, so where's the game playing with the community? Where's that at? Gotcha. So, I also want to show you guys something else too. There was, I can't find it now, Jesus Christ. 5 months ago on the Stadia Reddit, the same information was posted out there. And with pretty much the same companies involved. You know, it was patched together, developers not releasing patches, DLC, and there was even no AAA support that was mentioned on Reddit. And it was 18 games at that time. So we went from 18 games to 20. I want to say back down to 19 because Wreckfest got fixed. And then I heard somebody else in the comment section say that another game got addressed. I don't know if the game was on the list. I don't think so. So now we're talking about, you know, probably around 19. So we're not, so 5 months ago it was 18. Now it's 20, if I'm correct, that is being lumped together. We're still talking about the same games that are the bug related games. We're now doing another poll where it says if a game you really wanted to play on Stadia was missing DLC, would you still buy it? 75% of you said yes. 76% of you said yes. See how I told you that would be a dramatic swing from the first question? So game-breaking bugs, for all accounts and purposes, shouldn't be lumped together with content things. Because that content may not be a necessity to their target demo. If you're a hardcore gamer, Yeah, it would be. But that's not Stadia's target demo. It's the hardcore gamer. And for those sectors that still don't understand where the platform is headed, I point you back to the Stadia keynote of 2021 and 2022. This is no longer a platform that thinks that it can leapfrog the projections for cloud gaming with 1 million active users. Crunch the numbers. If you're expecting 1 million active users within 14 months of launch, that's way more than 1% of the gaming business, because when it comes to, excuse my French, let's do it right now. Because normally, a platform within its first 14 months that's a mainstream platform, they get anywhere from 7 to 20 million, I think it is. So let's divide 1 by 7. 1 million is 14% of the business. And when you think of PlayStation and its crazy rise to numbers, let's divide 1 by 20. That's 5% of the business. So you were expecting to heavily surpass the projections 500 to 1400%. Because at the time, at launch, cloud gaming may have been a 1% business at best. So you thought as a platform you were going to exceed the analyst projections anywhere between 500 to 1400%. And of course you were wrong. But that's for another day. This is no longer a platform that has the belief that, yeah, maybe we're not going to get mainstream platform numbers first, but we're going to blow past these projections 5 to 14 times over. And each year is it's going to be more and more. We're not going to be bringing you console numbers, but we're definitely not going to be bringing you the numbers as low as our cloud gaming peers. Oh, hell no. That was the belief system. And that's why they've contracted games like The Query and had them in the works and stuff like that, because they were under the belief system that these are the numbers that they were going to reach. If you're reaching those numbers, those investments are justified. But if you're tethered to an experience, or you're tethered to numbers that represent analyst projections, it don't make sense. Hence why xCloud doesn't have an exclusive game yet. xCloud doesn't have an exclusive. They're working on an exclusive game that's coming down the road. Hence why even Luna won't put their own Amazon gaming games on the platform, because it doesn't make sense. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense because of the analyst projections. They're not exceeding the analyst projections. And guess what? Stadia had to swallow a jagged pill. Your lofty expectations of exceeding these analyst projections, you're not going to do it either. Not like this. If you're going to do it or get close to it, you got to do something different. So changing the foundation of how developers interact with your platform is something that was needed, but it's not something that you're going to do overnight. So for any of you guys and gals that have questions on where Stadia is headed, all you gotta do is follow those 2 keynotes. The emphasis of those 2 keynotes and why they were so heavily advertised is they tell you the direction. They tell you that this is a platform that has pivoted from its lofty expectations of overshooting the moon on its projections to one that recognizes that in order to get the games that people want, they have to make it easier to develop for the platform. They got to make it easier to bring games to the platform. And that's not a process that happens overnight. Meanwhile, though, even though that's something that that's something foundational that they got to drastically change, they're doing it. They're putting a lot of money into it. They're making that's why the 2 keynotes we're critically talking about that. Here's how we're trying to entice developers as well to continue to put games on the platform while we're going through this. We have the 70-30, we have the 70% that's going into Stadia Pro activity. We got this going, we got the 85-15 split. This is what we're doing to continue activity on this platform while we change how developers interact and put their games on here. So we haven't given up at all, but things have to change. And what has to change critically is how easy we make it to put games on this platform, which is not going to change overnight. We're still going to work hard, as they said in the game industry. We're going to put our heads down and we're going to get the games here. If you don't hear from us, that's because we're doing the hard work. They were at Gamescom. Rumors that they were at TGS. Maybe it's not a rumor. Maybe it's fact that they were at Tokyo Game Show. But you have situations with Phil Spencer and them to get just Japanese games on there, and it took them damn well 9 years to do it. Stadia is moving at a pace where there's, well, you know, at the beginning of the year, big question mark for many as far as are they still going to get AAA games over here? And in a matter of months, we got an answer to that. Yes! Saints Row, FIFA, Dead Island coming, more content for Resident Evil, and that's not going to be the end. And I think when everything's said or done, this is my opinion, this is my synopsis, again, after following the facts, I think after everything is said and done, we're going to be amazed at the different approaches that Stadia may take to get games on here, to satisfy that need. They know what's going on and what they need to do to fix things in a sustainable fashion. And unfortunately, the pace or the way that people want Stadia to do things right now just isn't sustainable. And you don't get that, you don't understand that when you don't understand the lineage of gaming. Xbox just didn't wake up one day, PlayStation didn't just wake up one day, wave their finger, and then all the games were there. There was a process that took years. Same applies to Stadia, and it definitely applies if you got to foundationally change how games are coming to the platform. Your plan to exceed expectations 5 times to 14 times over at least did not work. So you change your plan, and it's more than evident because we've been talking about it for years now, since the first keynote, even before. We're in the second year now of talking about this. The first keynote, now the second keynote. Remember, we talked about the keynote several months before the keynote was released. Remember that? Remember that? So I don't think the problem is not knowing where the platform is headed. The problem is accepting it. Accepting that this is the period that they're in now. Accepting that they don't have an end date because it all depends upon activity on the market, and accepting what you want to happen not happening. And that's okay. That's okay for the platform. That's okay for the community that actually enjoys the platform, who's part of the target demo, because guess what? You're not part of the target demo. I hate to tell you, and I've been there. I used to be part of Xbox's target demo. I no longer am. All companies go through a pivot. Xbox, I remember when they first put Game Pass out there, people hated it. They hated it. We couldn't give Game Pass codes away when it first came out. Years later, it's the darling of the journalist industry, right? And the mission statement changed from creating some of the badass, like look at some of the old Xbox commercials. That's all dude bro stuff that me and Dark Soccer talk about in tomorrow's podcast. That's all dude bro stuff from the core. The type of games that I love, admittingly. They went from the dude bro platform to a value platform with powerful specs. I can't relate to that, but does that mean that Xbox is not going to see success? Since not entertaining my needs, Xbox has seen more money than it ever has. Who am I to say that what they're doing is wrong? I just got to move on. So again, when you look at what Stadia is doing, pivoting its pillar on how it's interact with developers. And they're still being able to go make these AAA deals right now when everybody's like, no, they're not coming. They ain't coming. Something's working. Remember, we were told no AAA games are coming. We were told that nobody, not most, not some. Remember, the phrase was nobody. Everybody's abandoning Stadia. There's going to be a point when you see no more AAA. Remember that's what we were being told earlier in the year, based off of misinformation and emotion. We know otherwise. So everything's there for you. You just got to accept it. You just have to accept it. With that being said, let's look at what everybody was going ape-ish over last week in totality. I'm going to end this poll, and I'm going to take into consideration that, I mean, if people want to look at DLC this way, we'll put the last poll up there. I'll put one final poll up there, and I got to close out at 4. I definitely got to close out at 4 because Clive goes live at 5, right? Someone confirmed that 5 Eastern. Let me double check. Because if he's going live in the next 15 minutes, then we got to close out shop right now. When is Clive going live? Why is my I just noticed something that my my thumbnail. Why isn't my thumbnail showing? When does Clive go live? Is it an hour from now? All right, so let me look at this. Let me read some of your comments. Cowboy says, MM2K, you said that hardcore players need DLC, and your poll showed that 70% of them said they would still buy games without DLC. So Google knows their main player base doesn't need AAA, so don't expect many. No, I wouldn't say that for AAA. I would say because here's the thing that we got to remember. It's not that Stadia is abandoning or lessening its AAA. It's just not throwing a whole bunch of money at getting AAA games on there in the hopes that that money that they throw up front will lead to success for those publishers and then them wanting to do it. They're not doing that anymore. Because you only do that if you say, look, if you know, it's like when you open a business. For those of you that have not opened a business, let me run it down for you. When you open a business, especially if it's a service-based business, a lot of people take out a loan or they go into their savings and they take a lot of money and they invest in things that at first may not make the money. But the purpose is it increases their user base in a way, and certain litmuses are hit in a way to where, all right, now you can show that by investing in this, and this, the numbers are going to keep growing And as long as we keep getting these games, they're going to keep growing. So then you might go and take some more money out. You got to do it again for next year. You got a lot of revenue, but it's still not enough to cover it. But again, you're getting there. You're getting closer. That's how you operate pretty much any business at first that's like a vast, wide range servicing business. The first few years, you know, you're putting more into it than you're getting back, right? But you're hitting certain litmuses that are showing you that this is producing results by you doing it, and you're going to get your money back. It happens with restaurants all the way up to Disney, where Disney said, we're going to lose $1 billion the first 10 years, right? Using Disney as an example. But guess what? Disney started making a return on their money a lot sooner than 10 years. So they exceeded their projections. So if they were to make further investments, spend $5 million an episode for The Mandalorian, I'm just throwing numbers out there, I'm not saying this is factual, but they spend $5 million for The Mandalorian, it justifies itself. What happened with Stadia is the investments that it had made and it had slotted going into the future under its original plan no longer justified themselves. The main milestone, again, you've heard of milestone before, but it's a big thing when you're project managing or when you're looking at the development of something. The main milestone was those first 14 months, the end of 2020. The main milestone that they likely communicated with their partners in saying, look, by the end of 2020, we expect to have 1 million active users. They weren't close. Until what? Cyberpunk 2077 came out. What is Cyberpunk 2077? A AAA experience. You guys may not have been around when this was happening, but I was. Stadia frequently, and now we know why they were doing it, they were frequently doing polls. What is it that you want to see most from us? They might still be on Twitter. What is it that you want to see most from us? I'm going to go look on Twitter and see if I can find them. And poll after poll after poll. And the polls consisted of, I want to see a cloud exclusive. I want to see you do this. I want to see you do that. Poll after poll after, I want to see you upgrade your hardware. You know what the number one option was? Poll after poll when they did this? I want to be able to play my favorite games on your platform. That again is proven by my talk with Dork Sakura. Hear what she says when we go into the things that I ask her the MM2K question of the interview. I said, well, if you're at the board, now you were able to push Phil Harrison aside and said, I'm in control now, damn it. You had control pretty much of what was going to happen over the next 12 months. What would it be? Wait till you hear her answer. It coincides with not us talking heads, not us creators, not us on Twitter or Reddit. Well, that are most vocal in Reddit, the most miserable ones on Reddit. But it coincides with the results from the average gamer on the platform. So when you take that into consideration, and the fact that when Stadia actually saw its biggest boost, it was during the period when its biggest game on the platform hit. It helped it see its most successful month. Also, Ubisoft Plus launched in. A lot of people wanted Stadia simply for Ubisoft Plus. I was one of them at first. To be able to take all my Ubisoft games with me no matter where I go was the biggest lure next to Cyberpunk 2077 for me. So when people got access to the game, their favorite games that they wanted to play, not to try out a cloud exclusive or none of that other stuff, That's when the most people hit Stadia. I want to say to date. I would argue to date, per data that I've seen. So it's not that they don't want to get AAA games, but what they see, Cowboy, is they see that people still appreciate the platform even in moments when they don't have a lot of AAA games releasing. They say, oh, while we're going through this transition, we still, people still appreciate the platform, and the platform is growing. And we're up there with our peers, even without having the bevy of AAA games that we were looking to invest in through our original plan. That's what they see. Because this is not the end state for Stadia. People can talk to themselves all they want off this cliff and believe that. You don't see success with this being the end state of Stadia. Stadia knows that. And you will see that this is not the end state for them. All the facts and all the stars are aligning that they're looking to do more. But they are able to realize that, hey, the business is still sustainable as we're looking to acquire the games that brought us our most successful period, which are big games and AAA games. It just means, Cowboy, that AAA games aren't everything for Stadia. They're a big bulk and a very important factor for the platform, but they don't mean everything. The platform is sustainable even when the AAA output isn't the greatest potentially that it could be. That's what that means. Anybody that thinks that this is the end state of Stadia is fooling themselves. Now, is Stadia crafted to be as they said, the wild, wild west of games where you're going to have 6,000 games coming a year like you do on Steam? No. But they're looking to get you access to the biggest games out there. They just have to work towards that. They had one way that they were going to do it. That way didn't work. All right, so let's put this last poll out here. If a game you really wanted to play on Stadia was missing crossplay, would you still buy it? That's the last question. When is Clive going live? I always get the times mixed up. I think he goes live at 5, right? 5 Eastern. Let me go look on YouTube. Why isn't his show? Freaking YouTube. You pissed me the hell off. I have a reminder on for Clive stuff. Oh, this I tell you, this platform, man, you gotta love it. I put a reminder in for Clive's show. Now I can't see it. You gotta love YouTube. You gotta love it. Where is Clive's? Hold on. Because I just saw it on my phone. So let me maybe it's back on my phone. YouTube, you suck. I'm sorry. You effing suck. You do some of the goofiest shit ever, and it just annoys me, man. Anything that I set a reminder for should not disappear unless the content creator makes it disappear, which I know he didn't. Ridiculous. All right, 5 p.m. Okay, so we got time. But we're not gonna utilize it within an hour. Basically, why did I shut it off? YouTube, what's wrong with you, man? YouTube, you gotta do better. You gotta do better. All right, so let's go ahead, answer that poll. And let's get to some of this chat. Stadia got, why is it? Stadia got some AAAs here coming. And if they're going to do a reset, this is a year to do it since stuff got pushed back. And really more pinpoint, Sean, the reset didn't start this year. Like they may have had some contracts that were from the previous phase that didn't die out until last year. Like I think Wavetel was the last game that was and they just let it happen. But they've been working on the reboot since they made the decision to close SG&E. Again, to remind folks, again, no cap here, because we are the ones, not one of the ones, not a couple of the ones, the ones that told you about this Stadia keynote before Stadia told you about the keynote. We told you that Stadia and Google were approached by Alphabet, the parent company. What is it that we have to do to get game developers, to make it easier to get more games on here? Because that's what we're hearing. That the problem is that we don't have games. How do we do that? Find out. They went and talked and found out, came back to Alphabet and said, this is what the developers are saying. That this is what they need in order to make it happen. Here's our assessment of what it's going to take in order to deliver that. Google wrote a check. Here you go. Make it happen. And that was the makings, pretty much, of the load change porting. What is the load change porting? The focus of the Stadia keynote. Along with some other things, right? Again, the investment to, as far as this 85-15 split, the taking of 70% of the Stadia Pro revenue, breaking it amongst, all that stuff was from the keynote, which was expressed in Alphabet's meetings with Google in Stadia. And then what you also read in the GameIndustry.biz article, the infamous GameIndustry.biz article, where a bevy of information and future thinking came from Nate Ahern. So remember that. Gadar says, something else I believe that there are more bargain hunters on Stadia than other platforms, and so less people to buy a AAA game day and date. I never do, but pick up older AAAs for a discount. Yeah, the Stadia demo, Gadara, as you rightfully point out, is of casual gamers that aren't hardcore gamers. They see cool games, AAA, AA, that they like, or that have interested them, that they want to try out and play. They're not sitting there, they're not the ones that are going to go to midnight releases or even listen to this podcast for the most part. And it gives them access to games that they normally wouldn't play because it's just not plausible for them to buy a platform, wait for downloads, do all this other stuff that is atypical with Steady device gaming. So yes, it is plausible why even in a time period where not as many AAA games are hitting Stadia, that the platform is still sustainable. That's absolutely why. But this is not the end point, because this is not where Stadia wants it to end. They do want to grow. They want more people on the platform, and they realize in order to make that happen, they got to get the big games on there. It's just getting it done to make that more possible. So hopefully that's understood. All right. So wanted to point all that out. And I just wanted to put optics on the things that people were losing their lunch over. You know what I mean? Like, do we consider game-breaking bugs, missing DLC, and crossplay all on the same level? Just by, you know, I mean, this is a small sampling, but it panned out the way that I expected it. And I'm pretty sure that if we bring this to a larger level of gamers, that it would be very similar. And do you think also that the issues that are being brought up that are more quote unquote egregious are egregious mainly, as Gondara pointed out, to hardcore gamers? And I think the answer to that is yes. And so therefore, this platform isn't geared with hardcore gamers in mind, particularly at this moment, especially during, again, the repivot, the working to get those games on here. Anywho, that was my terrorist wife. And again, these same issues pretty much were brought up 5 months ago, when it was a totality. Even though I have a personal opinion towards them being all lumped together. I see, if you're a hardcore gamer, a game-breaking bug, DLC, and crossplay being all the equivalent, because you want to get your hands on everything. You want to gobble, 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 gobble. And anything that's a deterrent from you gobble, gobble, gobble is an issue, all the same. But again, for Stadia's target demo, it's not all the same. But the fact that it's pretty much been the same 5 months in advance, 5 months prior to this, few exceptions added and some being retracted. And then you look at 5 months later and it gone from 18 collectively to 20, where even if they were on the same level, when you let's do the math again. Let's do math. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. Let's take 20 and divide it by 291. That's 6.8%. 7% of the catalog either having a game-breaking bug, not having the same DLC or content that's on other platforms, not having crossplay. When you collectively put them together, regardless of how the majority of the community would feel as far as them being on the same tier, even if, let's just play devil's advocate and say that the majority of the community thought they were on the same tier, that is 7% of the catalog. And it's pretty much been the same 7% of that catalog, pretty much. I'm not saying all of them are, but the majority have been the same 7% that have been that issue for the past 5 months, if not more. I've looked back and saw issues with some of these as far as 8 months ago, right? So what does that say? That those same people that unfortunately don't take the support of the platform seriously enough after taking money from people are the same ones that don't, Now, I'm not going to speak about the business transactions of things. Some people may have said, you know what? We'll put our gains on this platform and put it into pro and see what we can get part of that pro pie. But it doesn't justify us adding the DLC, because I don't know if the DLC will help the pro pie. And I don't feel confident that we're going to get enough sales to justify us supporting the platform. So we're just going to put the base game, on pro and see where that goes from there. And for the target demo of Stadia, the target demo that's been identified, like right now, like when you look at Xbox, right now, their thing is bargain, 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 but they're not going to stay that way. They're hoping to develop into a main publisher at some point in time that does have the kick-ass games, but they're not known for that right now. Look at the mess that's Halo Infinite. Brad Sams talked about that he said it himself. Xbox enthusiast, Microsoft think tank individual of the Paul Thurrott think tank. He says that Halo Infinite has been a failure on all levels. This is not his conjecture. This is information that he is getting from within Microsoft/Xbox. So Xbox right now isn't known as a powerhouse of a publisher. Well, what about when they get Activision Blizzard? We'll see if that happens. They don't have them right now. So based off their offerings right now, Xbox's selling point is value, value, value. Right now, Stadia's selling point is, look, the convenience of cloud gaming, offer sustainable, reliable platform where we give you the console experience without you having to invest in a console. But we're not on the level of PlayStation and Xbox, not right now. We connect gamers who normally, disenfranchised gamers who would normally be into the console experience if it wasn't for friction. We're connecting them to that experience the best way that we can right now. And we're going to grow that. In the future, the expectation is with our reliable platform, best of the industry, that we're going to give you the games that you want to play, because that's the biggest thing that got us to success. But they're not there right now. Just like Xbox right now isn't the killer publisher that's destroying the competition. They're not there yet, but maybe in a year or so, as more games release, they'll be known as that. So right now they advertise their proposition as value, value, value. You heard it all at Tokyo Game Show and at Gamescom. Value, value, value. So it's just those dynamics that, again, when you know the lineage, when you've been there for the lineage, and you are connected to the right sources that can help you understand and digest that lineage and understand why decisions are being made, all this makes sense, whether you like it or not. And you make decisions based off of that, but you don't speak out of pocket. That confuses and misinforms the unsuspecting gamer. And that's very important in all this, I think. You know what I'm saying? I think that's very, very important. Another thing I want to ask you guys is, do you think that, again, because this pretty much the same issue existed 5 months ago with pretty much the same people, it'd be different if this was the same amount, but a completely different revolving door that was growing from 18 to 35 or 40. We're talking about 18 to 20 when you collectively lump together things that a lot of you are saying right now shouldn't be lumped together. Do you think that has happened because the advent of AC Mirage not coming? Do you think that was like the gas lighting situation? What do you guys think about that? Give me 1 second. I'm going to go back to the chat. Oh, excuse me. Hold on. So, yeah, do you think that maybe AC Mirage gaslit this? Let me know what you guys think. PC has way more games than Stadia. That is a fact. Aminar, that is a fact. I can see buying DLC if it has meat to it, like the story missions mode, etc. If it's a cosmetic pack or something, I'm not for that. I want to say this, and I told you guys this before. I'm on the record, well before this even becoming a discussion point. My brother is a prime example of Stadia's target demo. He loves the technology of Stadia. He loves the potential of it. He loves playing it. It's just that it doesn't have enough games on it to maintain his interest at times. You know what I'm saying? So he has a PlayStation 4 and he has Stadia. That's it. And he has a PC. Well, no. I don't even think he has a gaming PC that's powerful enough to play the games that he normally plays. He has a PlayStation 4 and he has Stadia. So he would prefer to play more on Stadia because he enjoys the game more on Stadia, but most of the games that he wants to play are on his PlayStation 4. So it's still part of his portfolio, but he's looking for it to improve. And I think my brother is a prime example of maybe an enthusiast of the platform, but maybe the least enthusiastic part of the platform. That's part of the community as far as people that game on it, or I would say a part of the consumership of Stadia more than the community. He ain't into all this stuff and reading all this other stuff. He just wanted to know what games are coming to the platform. That being said, he again is not one that buys DLC because of his belief systems, and I think a lot of people are like that. So even though he has his gripes about the platform and it not having the games that he wants to play more frequently, DLC is not a deciding factor. It's games. Simply put, it's games. Nobody can deny that. It's games. That's it. So all this extra, we got this spreadsheet that shows this and all this. I am all for, and I've even talked to Jack about us doing a better job, admittedly, of hosting a way to report games that are broken, that have egregiously been abandoned. Like, if something just happens last week and they're like, and they've acknowledged it and they said we're fixing it, that's fine. But clearly where people have abandoned fixing issues on the game, critical issues on the game, and there's no response, they've gone radio silent, or they just simply put, well, we're not doing it. As a community platform, I want us to do better at cataloging that. Because admittedly, this is stuff that flew over my head, flew over my radar. And now that it is on my radar, so this is one of the pluses that happened out of the events of last week. Now that it is on my radar, I think the stuff that is relevant to the demographic and to the majority of the community, we're going to focus on. We're not going to if you want to focus on DLC, whatever, fine. What? If you like it, I love it. We're going to focus on the game, the broken aspects, and people that are egregiously ignoring that. You know what I mean? So we are talking about that, and stay tuned for that. We're going to see how that pans out in the future. You know what I mean? But yeah, my question to you guys is: do you think that you guys think that this was gaslit because of AC Mirage? Yo, Lo-Fi Monk in the house. He's like, what's up? He said, let people buy where they want to buy. Absolutely. Aminar says, you and Clive are the most pro Stadia I know, MM2K. well, I don't know everyone that you know, but okay, sure. And I wouldn't bet your money on that we are the most pro Stadia people out there. I still get hit up regularly when I criticize the platform. When I put things out there like, now I think it's time until we get developers on board or the load change porting gets on board. And I talk about this with Dark Sakura. You can hear her thoughts on it. I said, I think there needs to be a 50 frames per second mode that's focused more for 1440p. Now we got 1440p out there. And I said, I'll take a flat 50 frames per second mode with all the contingencies that Stadia puts on how far frames per second can drop to whatever. I'll handle, or I'm all for 50 frames per second if it pretty much guarantees me 1440p. Maybe 1200p in the worst situations. But I'll take that. And I want you to hear Dark Sakura, who's an expert, not someone with an opinion, an expert because of what she does in this field. I want you to hear what she has to say about this. And I dare anyone to challenge her because I'll set the debate up myself. I want to see you. You think that I have a penchant for turning people into mincemeat with my words. You don't know Dark Sakura. So I dare you, I double dare you to challenge her and her, you know what I mean? I want to see the outcome of this. But a lot of people don't agree with it. They don't like it. Whatever. You know what I mean? So, and they hit me up and they tell me all the time. And says, no, I would not buy a game on Stadia if it wasn't coming with DLC unless I didn't have enough option to play it. And again, that's how, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's how you operate with games and stuff like that. And that's fine. I would put it like this. If it's a service game like Division, it depends on the game. If it's a service game like Division 2 or or Saints Row or a Destiny 2 and you're not offering a DLC, oh hell no. But all the service games that were DLC makes the experience. It's a must because it's a service game. Stadia has them. From my accounts, right? They have all of them, right? So it depends upon the game for me. A game like, Jesus Christ, I'm trying to think of like just, a single player experience that, you beat it, you're done with it. A game like that, I'm not so worried about paid DLC because I'm not likely to get it. But if it's free DLC, I might, it depends. It depends because it's not like DLC is universally great either. That's another risk that you're taking. Especially if it's paid DLC, that's risk that you're taking. So again, it depends on the gamer. There's no right or wrong approach to that. It's just that it's all about numbers. How many people think that way? And even if the majority of people think differently from you, that doesn't make you wrong. It just means that if that really makes or breaks your experience and you realize that this is happening more times than not, then maybe you're on the wrong platform. But when you look at the totality of games that are missing DLC or whatever, again, we're talking 10% or less, right? If I'm looking at this right. So Loathsome Gaming says, so no, Mirage is just another reason naysayers use to light their own torches. Yeah, that's what it's starting to sound like, right? Says, when I joined Stadia, I watched a certain content creator with several guys, and when SG&E closed, one guy kept saying it was over for Stadia. Then I realized how biased he and they are. Yeah, I'm not going to attack another content creator. I mean, I don't sit there and say, "Ooh, this content creator said this," so I'm not going to challenge that notion. No, I'm going to challenge any notion that I think, the merits of that notion got to be challenged. And no, that doesn't make me someone that's trying to deter people from being negative. Ooh, no, that's not the case. what it is that, again, I care about the information that's being cascaded to people. That's the whole point of this platform. We wouldn't be here if factual information wasn't an issue. So yeah, I'm not going to attack a content creator. I think at this point in time, there are enough wells of information to where people can counterbalance what they're listening to, and they do. Like when I go look at my content and and the people that follow my content, I noticed that a lot of them follow content elsewhere that where they're at totally different spectrums of this, right? So, yeah. All right. So with that said, let's go to StadiaDosage.com real quick, and then we got to close out because we got to give people a chance to check out Clive. Here is. Let's switch it over. So first on Stadia Dosage, there's a great article talking about Ubisoft first-party cloud service coming, powered by Google Immersive Stream. Definitely check it out. I mean, as the article warns, this is speculation. When Assassin's Creed Mirage was immediately announced for Stadia, our minds began to search for reasons. After thinking about the matter, we came up with a list of possible explanations. Great article. Check that out over on StadiaDosage.com. Let me close out this poll too. What's going on? In poll. And again, as we ask people, would you buy games if a Stadia game without crossplay? And 69% said yes, 30% said no. Another thing on Stadia is, let me see. Let me see, on Stadia Dosage is, there's a cool Saints Row review coming from our writers over there. We also, continue support from Wired Games. So if you haven't heard, Martha is Dead is coming to the platform. That's dope. Definitely. Okay. What else we got going on over here on StadiaDosage.com? Stadia rolled out 1440p resolution settings. So shout out to Clive and Linden. Want to discover this. Cool feature for those, and it's supposed to be, from what I understand, I don't have it yet, but it's supposed to be one that is available through TV. So I know there's plugins that allow you to do this already, because the 1440p stream was always available behind the scenes, but this is more so. Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, a lot of people that have Stadia, everybody doesn't have Stadia enhanced. Everybody doesn't know about it. Again, we got to remember that everybody that plays Stadia isn't here with us, so they don't know about all these nooks and crannies. Those that are within the social media community, we know about this. So this is a great thing for those that don't know about Stadia enhanced, and Stadia reasonably can base what they release for the platform based on plugins. They allow plugins, that's great, but if there's something that a plugin does that they feel like is fruitful and they implement it, kudos to the plugin for raising awareness to that. Now, it would be something to gawk about if they cut off that functionality for no apparent good reason and it was something that was useful to the community. But they can't live and die off a third-party implementation and just, you can welcome it. You know what I'm saying? But implementing something that a third-party plug was doing prior, you don't sit there and say, "Oh no, we're not gonna do it," because especially if numbers show that we could reach more people if we integrate this internally. Why not? So yeah, so I love the third-party plugins. I use them. But I think the argument that because a third-party plugin was providing it, it was useless. I think that's I don't think that that's a perspective that may be associating itself to the numbers. All right. So all that cool stuff happened. We're going to close out with your thoughts on any of that. And we're going to get ready for Clive's show. He says, those who are still pissy about Stadia use this to justify leaving but staying around. Well, they got the rocks off and said, see, I told you so. Whatever. How dare you be positive, MM? Yeah, I know. Like I said, I'm gonna drop this scenario because because I think a lot of people can relate to this, and I can relate to it because, like I said, my wife's like I've done, and I'm gonna be doing a Caring for Gaming at the end of the month too. We're gonna do it for the Kidney Foundation again, but my wife's family deals with a lot of kidney, disease and stuff like that, and that's why when I do these activities, I always do it for the Kidney Foundation. I do want to say this. I'm going to use this scenario. Say Stadia is like reminds me of a vegan shop. Now, a lot of hardcore gamers like vegan shops, so you're trying to say they don't have the meat, but whatever. Well, however you take it, you take it. But it reminds me of a vegan restaurant. And let's just say this was before vegan restaurants were kind of like a craze, like kind of how they're getting so popular now. And analysts could see, like, look, this ain't the thing right now, but as capabilities as far as flavoring is concerned, and the things that are being prepared are concerned, and the way that vegan plant-based eating, can be doctored now, the vegan eating is going to get big. Well, and you had a bunch of analysts, and that is true. That's actually true. I'm actually kicking myself every day because I had an opportunity to invest in Impossible Burger when my financial mentor and a good friend of mine said, you better do it. And I didn't do it. And now they went and laughed all the way to the bank. With that being said, yeah, so say you had analysts that said that, and they came up with a projection. And so you have Stadia vegan goods. It's Stadia vegan goods, and they say, okay, well, these projections say that maybe in 10, 15 years, this is going to represent 50% of eating that's out there. I'm not saying vegan is there now. I'm just throwing numbers out there. This is going to represent 50% of eating is through some form, some phase of vegan dishes. But right now it's at 1%. And so Stadia Vegan Unlimited says, you know what? No. We've done some research and we've been able to talk to some of the best chefs on the planet. And we've been able to convince them, to bring some of their best recipes to to some of our vegan products, the best recipes and flavorings and stuff like that. So we project that, 7% or 10% of our restaurants, that our restaurants are going to saturate 7 to 10% of the market. And so in order to convince these restaurants or these chefs to do this, Google Stadia, aka Google, whatever, Google Vegan we'll just call it Google Vegan Products. Google Vegan Products shows all this data with their masters in and says, look, this is just going to be the future. Like, trust us. And the chefs go for it. And they're like, okay, well, if you guys are going to be able to not be 1% of the market, which ain't worth us getting involved, but you're going to be 10% of the market, which is worth us putting our blood, sweat, and tears in, we're all in. And they don't reach those numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like, people just are still leery of it. Oh man, I don't know, man. It's plant-based stuff. This ain't gonna taste like no ribs, man. Man, get this junk out of here. And they don't reach those projections to get those chefs in there. Then guess what the chefs are gonna do? They're gonna be like, oh, whoa. I may invest my time for 10% of the business and take resources from 90% because we can make those numbers make sense financially, but not for 1% of the market. Oh, hell no. We gone. We gone. Now, if you can find a way to where there's some type of catalyst that can take our recipes and replicate them and process them themselves to where all I got to do is sit with your chefs for like 5 minutes or whatever, that's fine. That's all y'all can get from me is 5 minutes for 1% of the business. I'm out here making a killing, man. Not 99% of the market. I'm not giving y'all weeks and hours and months. I'll give y'all 5 minutes, man. Bring a chef over here. I'll sit. If he can replicate this process, then yeah, we'll sign a contract then. But until you get to that point, y'all ain't seeing me. Now, the only other remedy is to pay the chef again to keep coming. But that's not sustainable if the analysts have proved your other theory wrong. You didn't listen to the analysts before, and they proved your theory wrong that you would over successfully blast through these projections, and they're showing that the market is going to stay in this area for at least 10 years. Then that means for 10 years, that means for 10 years, you got to do this. Now, you with all your data, listen to this, and then we're going to close out. This is where I need my Mensa candidates in the community, my talking heads, and everybody that thinks they know everything that just got in the game. I want you to understand this. So that's my scenario as Stadia being a vegan restaurant. Just flip that and make that what's going on with Stadia, the gaming company. It's all relative. And as far as getting the big people involved that makes your platform what you want it to be in the long term, it's going to take time. But here's what I want y'all to think about. If Stadia, with all of its data, couldn't supersede the projections from analysts, what makes you think wet behind the ear gamer, most likely never ran a business before, let alone make an executive decision at a Fortune 500 company, don't know the lineage of gaming? What makes you think that you have a better remedy for them to supersede projections that analysts have said are solid and they're being proven right? If Google can't show you that the analyst projections are wrong, why would I listen to you? You have two options. Be patient or realize that this isn't a platform for you. It boils down to that. And that's it from your boy. We're gonna go to the chat and see what the chat has to say, and then we're closing out. We're getting ready for Clive. No 1440p for me yet. Yeah, same here. Who thinks Roller Champions is still coming to Stadia? I think it was after phase 1 or something like that. I haven't really been following that game. I think after season 1 is supposed to come or something. In the spirit of bringing Stadia players together, there is a group of FIFA players who are starting a FIFA 23 Pro Clubs League. Hit me up. Absolutely, yo, that's dope. And there's a lot of initiatives. Like there's Purple Haze is hosting a Mortal Kombat. Look, those that are actual enthusiasts of the platform, we still play it, and we're still trying to play games with others in the community. That's all I got to say about it. You know what I'm saying? That's all. We haven't stopped that. That's all I got to say about the matter. So that's what I said when the Business Insider article came out. I went live after and said Stadia is no longer bringing AAA games. I'm gone. Yeah, and that's where, again, how can I say this without sounding like a jackass? I not understanding the business aspects that were falsely accounted for in that argument would lead you to have that understanding. But we got to get to a point to where we know who are the valid sources and who are not. Business Insider already disqualified themselves in 2020 when they came out with the article that Stadia wasn't focused on they weren't focused on indie games, and Aaron Hoffman John came out with the shirt teasing them about it, and then they just ended up with a slew of indie games by the end of 2020. Business Insider, they should change their names to Wannabe Insiders. They don't understand the regular things about business. There are some things that I think they reported on right, but the motif they were running with, they killed themselves. I've talked about the Stadia doesn't want to. They weren't interested in getting another studio. That was the most. You just don't understand. That was the most egregious thing they could have put in that article to just show how disconnected they were in proving their point and how disconnected they are from business. Like, they should be ashamed of themselves to remove. So again, Business Insider, I know they call themselves that. We see somebody that has a lot of readers and say, oh, they must be honest, or they must be acclaimed in that area, or not just acclaimed, but they must be proven in that area. Not anymore. Not anymore. Take it from someone who is hired and fired at a Fortune 500 level, testified in major multi-million-dollar cases behind such for the past 25 years. Thank you very much. All right. So with that said, we got to close out. Only 20 minutes left for Clive. You have to watch Clive. That's a must. We're out, but we thank you so much for coming through today. I'm gonna drop a link to Clive. No, let's see if they put it out here. YouTube, are you doing better? Let's go to Clive. There we go. Now they're doing better. Maybe someone at YouTube, there we go. Clive is going live in about 20 minutes. I am dropping a link to Clive's show. Check out Clive live in 20. Grab you a sandwich, go take a whiz in the bathroom, however way, standing up, sitting down, whatever you got to do, and get ready for Clive. Hey, yo, Dusty, you sick. You sick for that one, bro. I'm loving it. You sick for that one, bro. The hip hop quotable. Business Outsiders. Goddamn you, Dusty, you done it again. The Postmaster. I love it. Check out Clive. That's the link. 20 minutes. Hurry up, do what you got to do. Get ready for some great, sensible game talk. All right, until next time, I appreciate and love all of y'all. Again, these are going to be more direct. A lot less of this. This is just the last time me doing this for the last time. But if you want this content from MM2K, my contribution to StadiaDosage, you got to be a member. I explained it all last week. So starting with SSC podcast or whatever, or the next SDO video, I think we got an SDO video lined up for tomorrow. It's just matter of fact. We're going to give you the news. But if you want my thoughts, my deep diving thoughts behind it, become a member, join the member family. It's ever growing. Shout out, it grew by a member today. Thank you, Jorg Angulo, again for becoming a member. We love you for your support. And until next time, have a wonderful gaming day. Peace.